Hello and welcome to Bunto's Silent Dogfight, episode number 11, Patrick Festa. And of course, our special guest tonight is Patrick Festa. And as per our usual procedure, we'll open it up to participants after the interview. Thanks. Well, let me give you a quick background on Patrick. He's an East Coast resident, a science enthusiast who specializes in astronomy, as well as being a thorn in the side of religious zealotry wherever he encounters it. How are you doing tonight, Patrick?
Not bad, not bad.
So, how many hangouts do you do a day, Patrick?
Oh, I join a few that are out there. I don't do many of my own.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the ones you join. How many do you do a day?
I don't know. Today I was only in, I think, 2.
Oh, yes?
This will be the 3rd.
Okay. Well, how long have you been on G+?
Less than 2 months.
Okay. Well, what do you think? Is it just wonderful or mixed bag, or you getting tired of it, burned out, sick of G+?
Let's just say when I first tried it, the idea was to do something with the my Facebook group, and as I poked around and tried to get used to what it's all about, I realized it's nothing like I expected it to be. In fact, there seems to be a regular number of people that I am used to seeing now, and you're one of them.
Right.
In other words, it's hardly ever any strangers anymore.
Oh, that's okay. So it's a lot tighter knit than something like Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah.
Is it like high school? Is it like college or elementary school? What?
It seems that way. It seems that way sometimes.
Like, are you going around in cliques, or are you just?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. It seems like there's a bunch of cliques, and I sort of poke in my head in a few of them. I mean, admittedly, when I first got the idea, was because I was used to watching the professional ones. You know, there's the Hubble Hangout with Tony Darnell,
right,
and then there's the Weekly Space Hangout with Fraser Cain. And Fraser, you know who Fraser Cain is?
No. Tell me.
Fraser Cain is the creator, editor, master editor, whatever you call him, of the Universe Today magazine, you know, online magazine. So he does these, and they both share scientists. One of the main scientists they did a podcast with years ago. In fact, her name is Pamela Gay. She's
right.
an astrophysicist, and she's often on both of their hangouts. So the idea was that I was going to create this one, but we'll get to that later. I was going to create this one modeled after those.
A science hangout. Okay, well, what kind of hangouts do you usually go to then?
Well, as you know, when the person first comes onto Google, like I did a little over a month ago, the first thing you see, of course, is Nadia's Hangout.
Right.
And that's when I started to notice that it was a 24-hour thing, and it was almost always her. So I tried to pull away from that a little bit and start to hang out with some other people, and it seems like no matter where you went, it was always, mentioning Nadia's, but that's because that she's always there.
Right. She's like the 7-Eleven of hangouts.
Yeah, it's like we made some jokes. I mean, nothing bad about her. Just we made some jokes at one time that we said and in today's news, Google's bandwidth has crashed because Nadia's Hangouts has used up all the bandwidth.
Right. Okay, Patrick. Let's say it is like high school, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How would you characterize the clique of people you hang around? Are they nerds? Are they druggies?
Most of
preppies, or what?
Most of the subject, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not sure, depending on which way you look at it. Most of the subject and the most loud hangouts come from talking to religious zealots.
Okay, the religious zealots.
Conspiracy theorists.
Okay, Patrick, were you taken aback at the amount of religious zealotry you encountered when you first came on G+?
Not immediately, but I would say within a week.
Within a week?
Within a week of hanging out, I realized
there's a lot of God Squatters here.
Yeah, God Squad, yeah. That's a good word.
Okay, so were you always this militant against? Were you always a militant atheist? Can I characterize you as that, or how would you characterize yourself?
Well,
atheist?
I joke about being occasionally a militant atheist. You know, I use it more in a, what's the word, a jovial sense of militant atheist. But there's some negative thinking about the phrase militant atheist out there. So I try not to associate it with it. I usually just joke about it. But yeah, I get, the idea is that I get aggravated over the stupidity in the education system in this country.
Right. Okay. You go into a hangout, right? Let's say a Nadia's hangout, and somebody starts talking about how we need to have prayer in school.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Okay. So, do you have a reaction to that, or you just goes in one ear?
Yeah,
and goes out
my head immediately blows up.
All right. Okay. Why can't you just tolerate that like the rest? A lot of
because of my age now, and I realized, and unfortunately, I didn't realize it until I was in my 20s, that that attitude that bringing religion into the public system not only goes directly against the separation of church and state, but it literally did affect me, and I didn't realize it affected me until I was old enough to realize it.
Okay, so tell me how. Like you didn't want to pray or what? Tell me.
The lack of education that I got throughout my grammar school and or high school, because of the injection. And it wasn't like, it's not like, overt. It's not. It's quiet. It's covert. It's like
sneaky.
It's sneaky, and if you spend time trying to fight against that, if you're a good school system and they're trying to fight against these things,
right? That's
taking time away from the teaching of the real, reality and science.
For example,
you know what I'm saying? So it's covert. It's not like oh, there's this religious thing in school now. No, it's not like that. It wasn't like that at all. But it's that there was the lack of the real stuff.
Okay, well, I was going to give an example. Let's say, for example, we know that evolution is, one of the landmarks of science. Achievements as far as, things that they have discovered about our reality. I got like maybe a day of that in my high school experience, right?
That's ridiculous. That's one of the problems. And we all grew up with. In fact, now that you mention it, I remember in grammar school. I remember those pictures of the the 5 or 6 ape-like creatures, standing up after, and then you see that picture.
Right.
That picture I only found out as recently as a couple of years ago that that's not even a real picture. There's actually about 15 in the original picture that the Darwin tried to explain this in. There's actually about 15 of those images, and the 5 that you see in the everyday, everybody knows that picture, was a Time magazine article trying to shorten I forget the whole story. There was actually a link to it. I had read it, and I don't remember I have a problem with memory sometimes. I wish I could just yank up the article and show you.
Right.
But it was actually a Time magazine or a Look magazine or one of those older magazines article about Darwin and about evolution, and they shortened it, so to speak, into this
compact image
to show some sort of sense of it. And it was actually degrading to the actual real idea.
To the actual concept.
That's what stuck. That's what stuck over decades of time.
Okay, so we both agree that we got shortchanged as far as the major points of science during our high school or public education.
Exactly.
So let's bring it back to the Google Hangout. Okay, you go into a Google Hangout and then there's somebody there like Nephilim free or somebody saying that evolution is false.
This makes my blood boil.
All right.
Well, here's what I tell people, and they don't get it. Even people like Hermine.
Right, Hermine.
I don't, and she's nice and all. I'm just saying that even she said the evil word, so to speak, about it only being a theory kind of thing. Here's the thing. There are two things: gravity and evolution. Right.
Right.
Gravity is a fact. Am I right?
Right.
You can't say that gravity is not a fact, right? So why is it that we have a theory of gravity?
Right.
I'll tell you why. Because there is gravity, it is a fact. The theory of gravity is our best explanation thus far on how gravity works.
Right.
Evolution is fact. It is literally a fact of life.
Right.
The theory of evolution is our best explanation how it works.
Of how life evolved to the higher stages.
How evolution works, right? How life evolved. and it's always being tweaked. There's always new information. There's always pieces of the puzzle that weren't there being filled in. You have to remember, 150 years or so ago, Darwin didn't have any of the amazing tools we have today. This genetics and everything. This guy went out and by observing finches and things like this, that he did, he was able to determine that these things do change over time, and sometimes less time than others. Where these finches were actually the same species that came from another part of another island and changed within a couple of generations, their beaks and stuff like that, which was actually very fast for evolution. Usually it takes thousands upon thousands of years.
Truly.
So sometimes changes do take place quickly.
Well, let me offer you this, Patrick. What you might find upsetting is that it's so transparent that the only reason that they lie about science and denigrate it is because of religion.
I think a lot of them literally understand and know the difference, and they're so bent on sticking up for their God that they have to try to degrade science. It's like, if you think back thousands of years ago, or even just a few hundred years, for that matter, just a couple thousand years ago, or even sooner than that. Let's call it 500 years ago.
Okay.
When religion was actually, believe it or not, they were trying to figure out how the universe works, and their universe, of course, was simply the planet and the sun. But the point is that they actually were trying to do something like science. They were trying to figure out how things work. This is a human endeavor. This is what humans do. And at the time, of course, it was in the religious venue. But what happens with them is that once they say, in other words, instead of looking for answers and trying to figure out if this is the right answer, they have an answer. Okay, this is it. You can't argue with this answer anymore. God did this, and this is how he did it, and this is you. There's no changing. So people like Galileo, or better yet, people like Copernicus come along and say, I think I know what the problem with the model of the geocentric orbits are. I think that the sun, in fact, is in the middle of our universe, and not the Earth. All of a sudden, the shit hits the fan in the Catholic Church. Now, and trust me, I was raised Roman Catholic, and I'm Italian, so you can imagine I'm almost ashamed to be Italian sometimes. And then to make a long story short, over a couple of centuries time, Galileo came along and found evidence for that model being correct. Because he had the telescope and everything, and he projected the sun and all that stuff, and he was correct in saying that the sun was in the center, but it was blasphemy.
Right.
And he was put under house arrest and all this other stuff. 300 years later, you got to be fucking kidding me. 300 years later, I'm sitting there watching TV, eating my dinner, and the Pope at the time was John Paul.
Right.
We forgive Galileo. Excuse me.
Right.
for the heliocentric thing. Forgive him? Are you kidding me? How about apologize?
Right. Okay. Well, let me ask you this.
Even then, it was 300 years late.
Right, Patrick. Well, let me ask you this, Pat. Just serious as a heart attack. Why do the believers lie about reality? Why? Do they think they're hurting God's feelings by telling the truth?
Like I said, it's almost as they're so brainwashed. They have to. That's the whole control factor. Religion was good for controlling the small people. It's a political tool. But we're not in the Iron Ages anymore. But it's still being used. And a lot of the small people nowadays literally are brainwashed enough to actually feel that they're doing God's work by
the Earth is only 6,000 years old and talking.
But those guys who are out there making the money and making these mega churches, they don't believe what they're preaching. They're just doing it to make the money. This is what pisses me off. It's the lies. And I'm not saying that everybody's lying. I'm saying that the stupid people are sucking this stupid shit in.
Okay, I'll give you all that, Patrick. Okay, but let's bring it back to the G+ Great Debate community. Tell me why our friends who are theists are lying.
I don't know. Are they?
Well, when they say the Earth is only 6,000 years old and evolution is only a theory and... Right.
Especially this one Tommy guy.
Great blood. I mean, yeah.
When you see him come in and start laughing at what he's saying, then he mutes his microphone, and you can tell he's just trying to start a fight.
He's just looking for conflict and
Right.
It's something mental there.
Well, yeah, whatever. The thing is that they don't seem to understand the gravity of the situation. You know, pun intended. Uh, you know, the idea that this country is falling into the stupidity.
Okay, Patrick. I just want to keep it local. Alrighty. Okay, so you go into a hangout, and then somebody's into telling us how the moon landing was a hoax. What do you do? What do you take upon yourself to do in that
Again, it's
hangout?
the same. It's really the same subject. Only sometimes it's worse. I mean,
Do you always have to interdict?
I sometimes want to reach my hand through the screen and just like slap the
That's
shit
how
out of these
strong
people.
you feel about it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's how I feel. I feel like I have to slap the shit out of them.
alrighty. In your time here, the 2 months, have you been successful in that approach, or you need to modify it or keep it the same? Tell me.
I don't know. I don't know. I've tried a couple things. I've tried getting. I mean, I don't think you could actually say I tried getting mad. I would think you would say I did get mad,
Right.
especially if I had some beers or wine. Um, in fact, that's funny. It's funny because actually, in the last month and a half since I've been on Google,
Right.
I stopped drinking beer and I started drinking wine.
Is that better?
Yeah, I find that the beer sometimes gets me over the board angry sometimes. But anyway, yeah. In other words, it all comes back down to the same thing. It all starts when a couple 3 years ago I had started my Facebook group. You know, I'm trying to combat this stupidity in this country. It all comes back to the same thing. You can say try to keep it local. You can say try to keep
Okay.
it, but in reality, that's where I'm at. I'm at seeing this stuff in front of me.
At the
I can't
national level.
Right. I'm seeing the stuff in front of me in these local hangouts, as you call them. In reality, they're not local. They're around the world, which is, I think, is really cool.
Yeah, it is.
But
All right. Let me ask you. Okay, we don't like the religious liar. Okay, and then the religious believer doesn't like the atheist because they say that we have a hopeless ideology, that we are just, we talk about the vastness of the universe and how we're just really, specks of dust. I
well,
mean, but that's the truth, isn't it, Patrick?
well, yeah. See, the thing is, you're almost as guilty as the ones that throw all atheists in the same basket. Oh,
Okay, what's up?
atheists believe this, and atheists say this. Like, excuse me, we're all individuals. So you're almost as guilty, almost, not quite as much, but almost as guilty as them by saying religious zealots are say that atheists do this and atheists do that. You're almost being just as guilty. Now, I recently, in the last week or so, I've hung out with some actual religious people.
Right.
St. Tommy is one of them, who are actually very nice people, and they're not those ridiculous preachers.
G-Man.
Whether or not they believe in a God or not is entirely up to them. But the thing is that they're not those people that get in the way and deny science and get in the way of education. You follow what I mean?
Okay, but am I wrong saying that the universe is vast, Patrick? And that we are insignificant in the grand scheme of things?
No, you're not wrong. But that was a sudden switch of subject.
Please tell me how vast the universe is, Patrick. Could you?
Hang on, let me mute my mic for a few seconds.
Surely.
Okay, sorry. The clock chiming might have upset a few people.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The religious believer says that atheists have a hopeless ideology because we recognize how vast the universe is and how we fit in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
I mean, scientifically, could you explain how that is true?
Well, see, this is the problem with those people that say these things. I mean, first of all, atheism is not an ideology. It's not ideology. It's not a religion. It is in fact the lack thereof. And it is just, it's like that one meme that I have somewhere. Atheism, choosing facts over fiction. No, really, that's all it is. It's that sort of thing, and they have to jump up and down and try to beat everybody to believing that atheism is a religion. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that they seem to can't understand that we don't have to have a purpose.
All right.
There's never to ask why is I guess you would call a stupid question. Why are we here? We're not here for any reason. We just are here. It just is. It is what it is. You know. You ever hear anybody say that? And this is the problem they have. They have to have a purpose. Otherwise they're not happy, or they're not. They're afraid. They're afraid of not having a purpose. The worst of them literally say things like if you don't have a God, you can do anything you want. You can sin. You just want to sin.
Right.
It's like that is the ultimate insult. Some of them are like that. Not all of them. Like I said, there are a few that don't do that kind of stuff. But the religious zealots that are out here, the ones that are dying to Bible thump and stuff, they can't understand the literally. Now there's a word spiritual that they're gonna attack me for if I say this, but there is literally a spiritual experience, and it has nothing to do with ghosts and goblins and
I didn't know that.
And there's literally a spiritual experience in realizing how vast the universe is and where we came from, knowing that I'm star stuff. And I don't mean spiritual in the sense that it's some external part of me of consciousness or any stupid shit like that. It just is such an awe-inspiring thing that you go, wow, that's a spiritual experience. It doesn't have to, it's another word, or I should say another use of the word spiritual. And they don't understand that. They only have one word.
A poetic use of spiritual, yes.
Yeah, they only have one use of the word spirit.
Now, Patrick, truly, how big is our universe? Could you give an analogy, please?
Well, it's big. An analogy? I mean, there is. You can't imagine it. It's. You can try. I mean, if you consider trying to figure out how far a light year is,
right,
and know that our sun's influence literally extends just about 1 light year in diameter. It's about a half a light year out in radius.
Mm.
Then you get up to the heliosphere. You realize that it's that's even a speck of dust.
Right.
What is a light year?
I mean,
light year is how far a light beam will travel in a year.
In 1 earthly year, yeah.
In 1 Earth year. Okay, so you're looking at 186,282 miles in 1 second. Multiply that by 60, and then multiply it by 60 again, right?
Right.
Then multiply it by 24. Then multiply it by 365.
Right.
Now you come up with the distance of a light year, and it's over 5 trillion miles.
Right.
Okay, so I mean, I could do the calculation, but my calculator is probably going to go into exponents.
Jane and Joe, Lunchbucket Bible believer, believe that God created the whole universe and talks to us. Your experience in astronomy has taught you that this idea is specious?
Well, it's not just that I'm into astronomy. I'm into astronomy because it's like the other way around.
Okay.
Because I'm awed over the ideas. Knowing that when you supposedly hear voices and speak to God,
right,
you're talking to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Isn't it funny?
They're claiming talking to the whole creator of the universe, right?
Yeah. Well, isn't it funny that their description of the whole experience always seems to be a lot like the way they think?
Right, humans.
Yeah. And every person you talk to that has this idea that they talk to God, their version is going to be different than the other person's version because it's more like they think. What they don't realize is that they're talking to themselves.
Right. Okay. For example,
if you tell them that, they get mad because you're calling them crazy.
They hate that the atheists think, that we're a speck of dust. Let's just go with that, think that they all say that we believe that we're insignificant, right?
Right.
Like, how many Earths could fit in Jupiter? A couple thousand?
No, it's a few hundred.
Oh, a few hundred? Okay.
But like 1 million Earths can fit inside the sun.
Right, or something like that. I mean, it's just to show you the size. And if one person could, how many million humans could probably fit in the Earth, right?
Yeah. Just to let you know, since we were talking about calculating, 670,615,200 miles an hour.
Right.
Okay, times 24. Okay, now I got 1.609476 to the exponent 10.
Right.
That's just in a day. Okay, then if I multiplied that by 365, yeah, 5.87. So we're looking at 5,874,000,000,000 587,000,000 miles in a year.
In a year. That's just 1 year.
That's 1 year. It's 5.874587 exponent 12.
And let's just say that the universe is like 900 billion light years across.
Yeah, we don't really know. Our visible universe, essentially, right. See, what you got to think about is the visible universe is essentially how far we can see. Considering we have the age of what is it now, 14 point something billion years.
Right.
But we actually can't see that far. At least I don't think. It's a long story. Now they're talking about other things. They're saying things like maybe we can for some other reasons, but I won't get into that because that gets a little weird. But basically, it's only as far as we can actually see.
All right. How did the wheels in your own life? How did the wheels come off religion? Was it like it took a blast of science to do that, or was it just? I mean, how did you lose your religion?
I was a child. I used to go to catechism like a good little boy. Even got confirmed, which when I got confirmed, it was such a ridiculous what can I say, bullshit ceremony.
Sure, ritual.
Because the bishop came in, or a cardinal came in, whatever the fuck he was, the guy with the funny hat came in, and he asked a few of the students a question, and I just sat there and listened, and I said, okay, you're all confirmed. I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay, well, that's the next
Okay,
step.
so religion wasn't hardcore enough for you, and it just, faded away, or you just had a reaction to it?
I saw through the bullshit.
You saw through it quickly while you were a child.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, even up till the time where I was over 20, I didn't realize. In other words, I had the attitude, who gives a shit? Let them believe what they want. I just don't want to be part of it. And I had that nonchalant, I'm not going to do anything about it attitude.
Right, apathetic.
And I wish I did, now that I realized that it did affect my education. And here I am now, Mr. I'm so broke I can't pay attention, science enthusiast who knows more than the average politician out there, especially the Republicans.
Oh, that's easy.
Can't believe these fucking people running the country. And what the hell am I doing? I'm sitting here, trying to collect welfare. It's like, it's ridiculous. And I realized it was because of the lack, like you said, we've been shortchanged.
Right.
And we've been shortchanged because of the injection or the constant battering of the religion trying to influence education.
Okay, Patrick, does it matter to you if you flip Christians or hardcore fundamentalists to, realizing that it's all phony? I mean, does that matter, or you would rather just have them go away from education, You want to flip Christians or not?
It would be nice if I could do that. If one guy who was preaching stupidity and really believed that the Earth is only 6,000 years old suddenly realized, wait a minute, how can that be?
Right.
If one person said that and actually started to think about it, I would walk away happy. Because that means I made an impression.
That's a light. It's like a candle in the darkness.
Somebody walked the fuck up and smelled the coffee.
Right. Okay, Patrick. Let me ask you this, Patrick. I think, even more prevalent than creationism, and maybe it's just me, Patrick, but this idea of the supernatural, that it exists, that it's an actual force in our universe. Would you say that's more prevalent than creationism? I mean, these people believing, in the Holy Spirit.
I think it's just a piece of it.
Like in our little G plus grade debate community, I think there's more harping about the supernatural.
Because they're trying to hold on to the strings. They're trying to hold on to
Right.
what pieces of the religion are left. I mean, you know, even when I was 20 and I didn't believe in anything since I was a kid, there were still the ghost stories and stuff that I was clinging on to. I mean, you know.
True.
And
UFOs.
then I realized later on that that was also part of the whole picture, you know, of religion. I mean, you know, from the ancient religions of the Druids and stuff, you know, from
Right. Well, okay, that was a quick thought there. Just what is your position on UFOs?
more conspiracy stuff. A UFO is an unidentified flying object.
Yes.
Many of us have saw them. If we didn't identify it, then it is unidentified. That's it. End of story. There is a logical explanation for whatever it was. That doesn't mean you say, "Oh, I can't explain it, therefore it must be aliens." It's the same as going, "Therefore it must be God." It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Same exact brain malfunction that happens when people automatically assign a possibility as the absolute answer. That is the brain malfunction that conspiracy theorists and religious zealots alike do.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, Patrick. Would you say there's a little bit of more validity in aliens than God? I mean, surely we're not the only.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, the idea that there's still no evidence, and the idea that if you know as much about the distances and the laws of physics,
right,
and stuff like that, you understand that that's at the very, very least highly improbable.
That they could come out and touch us.
Right, they just came to visit this little speck of dust, and the fact is that they have to abide by the same laws of physics that we do.
Right.
You have to understand that they would have had to send out, just as we're planning on doing, they would have had to send out a generational type of starship, you know, where people are actually born in space.
Yes.
And in order to reach here, because there really is no such thing as warp engines. There really is no such thing as fast as light speed travel. There really is no such thing as that. And no matter which way you look at it, unless there's some unknown, you know, thing that we're like 500 years away from understanding, as far as we can tell, it's because that we know and we've proven that E actually does equal mc squared. And people don't realize that that little formula explains a lot.
A lot.
It explains a lot. You know, I mean, there is such thing as relativistic traveling. That is, the faster you go, the shorter distances become. But it also allows you to basically travel into the future, because if you were to come back from such a trip, the whole thought experiment about the twin brother thing, you would come back younger, and your twin brother would be how many days older or how many years older, depending on how fast you were traveling when you came back. So there's always travel into the future. There's never travel into the past.
Excellent. Okay, let me ask you this, Patrick. Patrick, which is more bothersome to you, religious fantasy or the pseudoscience?
Again,
are they about the same?
They're closely related. It's the religious zealot stuff that causes the stupidity and the pseudoscience, because people really don't understand science. And if you don't understand science, it means that you weren't educated properly. If you weren't educated properly, it probably means that the religion had its freaking dirty hands in the education system all these decades.
Right.
It's like a big circle. It's a big catch-22.
You know, they want to say that there's a God that's, you know, in charge of, that underlies, you know, atoms in our universe.
Right. The more we find out about science, the more they want to grab every little scientific word and try to use it in their religion. Look at what they're doing with quantum physics now.
Right.
It must be consciousness. You know, consciousness. Quantum physics proves. No, it doesn't prove anything.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's like that's a bad English to begin with. You know.
Okay, Patrick. Okay, you're very educated. You're a science enthusiast, right? Lately, you've been a target of a cloning incident. Could you please, you know, tell our listeners what that was all about?
I'll try without getting too upset about it again.
Well, just to, you know, I'll give the overview to our listeners that you were a victim of multiple identity usages and thefts. People impersonating you.
Right. Now, on the bright side, It wasn't an actual identity theft. That is, you know, credit card.
Cost you money, right?
Right. But in a sense, it did cost me money because I was trying to set up as corny as that may seem, I was trying to do what you're doing right now, trying to set up a little hangout where I'd have a couple of interviews or whatever, and I was going to try to set up the Science Sundays thing.
A science-flavored hangout.
Right. And sort of promote the science and try to steer away from the religious nonsense.
From religious and pseudoscience.
Right. So in order to do this, I tried one experimental one, and that kind of worked. It kind of didn't. Then I tried a second experimental one, and it was right during or shortly thereafter the cloning issue, and it was there was nobody showing up. The people who I did have in mind to talk to, I couldn't. You know, like I'm doing with you right now, it's face to face. Just like you did earlier before you actually went live. You came to me and said, well, let's see what we're going to talk about. I could not do that because I ended up having to block the people that were doing this, and then I couldn't get into the hangout that I was trying to get to the people that I did want to talk to. So then I tried unblocking, and when I went into the hangout that the people I was trying to talk to, the people jumped all over me, and I swear they believed that I was the one that was imitating me in the first place.
Right, so they thought you were the clone.
Even Simon was like, but you're upset and everything is giving them fuel. I didn't even say anything yet. What they saw was my clone. My clone was actually making 2 to 3 same clones of me with 2 or 3 different computers and going in there and arguing with himself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so this guy was okay. What was the first tip off of this, Patrick?
I don't
Somebody
remember.
said you were in a hangout when you said I wasn't in that hangout.
No, it was worse than that. I don't remember the details because my head exploded, and when my head explodes like that, I forget details.
Okay, so you found out that people could clone your identity. What steps did you take?
Well, the thing is, you report it to Google and they don't do shit.
They don't do anything.
Right. Let me give you a little
backstory.
Upon investigation. Okay, I'll give you a little piece of my investigation. Let me try to fill the dead airspace while I try to look for a couple of pictures for you. I'm going to give you a couple of pictures early in the problem. Early while I was doing my little investigation, I came up with a couple of places that I found. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it now. Oh, wait a minute, maybe it's on my desktop. Damn. Well, yeah, try to fill in the dead space.
Well, okay, let me see. Just to tell our listeners, there was at least about, 5 clones of you?
I'm not sure if there was 5. There was 2 that were literally cloning, and then there was a couple of other people sort of going on the cloning bandwagon and just
making fun.
Right, which was a little bit upsetting because it didn't help me any. Right. Even you got in on the act at one time.
I just made a meme.
I know.
What happened in my case is I saw a hangout that I thought was just hilarious. Of people cloning and making fun of you.
Right.
I realized that they were, taking.
You didn't realize, just like a lot of other people didn't realize it was a serious problem. I even had to send Google my license, a picture of my driver's license. Yeah. Well, I can't seem to find the damn picture.
Oh well,
I have a picture. I have a picture of a screenshot with how you go into a hangout or you see on the side where the hangout screens
all the
are.
People, yes.
And then you see you have blocked this many people in this hangout. Do you want to continue? Okay, I got a screenshot of the 3 on my screen with one of them being 4 people that I blocked, and of course one of them is Vladimir. I can tell you that right off the bat. And the other 2 are Patricia Festa and Patrick Festa, or Patrick. So anyway, I can't seem to find that picture at the moment.
Okay, well let me ask you this: has it gotten better for you, or is it still the same, or?
Well, I basically reported it a couple of times, and there was another one, by the way, on my YouTube. My YouTube channel was also cloned, and the picture of the nasty porn picture of this woman shitting on some woman's face was used as the cover photo for the YouTube page. Okay, I didn't screenshot that one, but this was getting out of hand.
Right.
But when it really got out of hand was when I couldn't talk to anybody trying to plan for my hangout.
Right.
That's when things went down the drain. Because you have to understand, I have a monetized channel, and I was trying to find more. Because I don't know if you've ever seen my YouTube channel. I teach people how to play chess, and I do
Yes,
my
chess.
called Projecting the Sun thing, and I basically ran out of content.
Right.
So the content that I was going to start making was these Science Sunday hangouts, and now that fell through, I don't
Yeah,
know
you had plans, and all this cloning interfered with it.
exactly. And
Okay,
then
Patrick.
when I mentioned that to people, or to the people that were supposedly my hangout friends, they didn't believe me, and they called me like a whining crybaby,
That's
just
what I
like
was
the
going to
other
bring
ones.
up. That they say that you were whining.
Yes, yeah. So here I am trying to stick up for myself, and they were hearing the other clone do this, and I just sounded the same. And here I am coming in later after it happened, and people do not believe me. And
Okay.
it was really you have to understand, I'm kind of a depressed person to begin with, so it wasn't
It was
exactly
upsetting.
easy.
Well, now you
It
know.
wasn't exactly. I had to go away for a couple of days to calm down because it was that fucked up.
Well, now you understand that how valuable your own personal identity is on G Plus. Do you think you would make some extra accounts? Maybe one for your Science Sunday show.
Nope, nope.
Why not? Don't you think that would be a better idea, just to have your own?
Because I already have the one that's monetized and everything. Everything was set up years ago. And the reason why my name is on it is because when Google started to buy out YouTube, or YouTube buy out or merging, or whatever the flock they did, at the time they said you are now going to display your real name because this is the way we're working things now. And I said, all right, whatever. I don't like the idea, but go ahead. And I never changed it. My YouTube channel is called Mr. Chess Time, and that's the
Right.
way it used to be displayed. Okay, a long time ago. I'm talking 4 years ago.
Right.
And I never had any content in it. I just had the channel. It was just there. So one day I decided to sign back into it and then start poking around, and I started to fix things up a little bit, make it look pretty, and I went and monetized it when I lost the job. Tried to see if I could make some money.
Sure.
And the name was still there. My name was still there, and I never bothered changing it. Now just a few hours ago, I added I added Patman.
Patman.
Yeah. Patrick Patman Festa, and you'll see it displayed now if you go there.
Okay, well, you're still okay. What is your
I'm still
identity?
looking for that picture. I can't find that picture.
Well, that's fine, Patrick. Okay, what's your identity gonna be on G Plus? As a science enthusiast, or just Patrick Festa?
Well, I've changed it to Patrick Patman
Patman.
Festa.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's at the point where it doesn't matter anymore. It's already done. Been there, done that. If I change my identity altogether, I'm just going to be falling into the hands of stupidity again. It's like, I'm an Italian. You don't force me to do something. You know what I mean? And if that forced me to change my name because of it, that's like basically I'm saying, fuck you, cloners. What are you going to do? I'm going to keep my name. It's just the way it is. What the fuck are you gonna do about it? In other words, what's the
Well,
matter
okay,
for you?
please tell me and our listeners how important this science show is to you. What are your plans for it? What's the format?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not very talented, so
Oh, I beg to differ.
I tried to do something, but without any of the headache that the cloning thing happened with, I might have been able to think a little straighter and try to make something out of it. And even if it didn't quite work out, I would have been able to. But with all the shit that happened, I lost my train of thought. I lost my ability to come up with ideas on how to fix it because, so I might not have one this Sunday, and it might be a while before I actually change it to make it better. I don't know yet. I want to still do it. The idea is a good idea. It was supposed to be fashioned after the Hubble Hangout and the Weekly Space Hangout.
Right.
But I just don't know how that's going to work anymore.
I
If
mean,
it's something like this, like we're doing right now, with just the
Right.
us two, that would have probably been better.
okay, are you going to have a co-host or just you? Or
Well, the
guest?
co-host was one of the people that didn't believe that it really affected the way it made the hangout. So he's no longer my co-host.
Oh, he's no longer your co-host.
No, he's not going to be. I'm not going to make him be. I mean, he hasn't even talked to me in a week. So, I'm sure I'll still talk to him. I'm sure I'll still be his hangout friend and everything. But I can't have him as my co-host if he's not helping me.
Okay, is it only going to be like astronomy, or is it going to be all sorts of science subjects?
Oh no, it's going to be like I said. Like here. Say this was my hangout, and I would say, well, I know today I saw, and there's a couple of people in here. I have a list of circles. One of them is science enthusiasts. Okay.
Right.
All right. So let me see. Let me go to my Google feed. I'm just going to click on whatever's here, and let me see. I got you up there, special guest Patrick Festa. Let me see. So let me see if I could just scroll down to some science article that was posted, and I'll share my screen. Okay, here. Let me share the screen. Oops, wrong button. Google Hangouts. Let me share the entire screen and then quickly go to the Google page. Okay, so now, do you see this?
Okay, I'm presenting to everyone. I don't see anything just yet.
You don't see my Google screen?
I can see the Hangout screen, but I can't see anything.
Okay.
I see it now. I'm sorry. Okay, yes.
It took long. Okay, so I just got this feed in today. In fact, it was you can see the timestamp was 7:23 p.m.
Right.
I shared it actually at 7:23 p.m. I got it sooner than that. I got it before then. But it's about this asteroid, and it's a computer graphics image of an asteroid and the possible way it looks as a distant star or whatever. I don't know. But it's just an example of something. Ring Centaur found between Jupiter and Pluto. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so there's an interesting subject. Somebody might say, I saw this article today on this. What is this Ring Centaur? What's that about? In other words, a layman's understanding of what is, and we could talk about that. We could say, well, let's take a look at it. Let's find out what that's about. Or maybe you saw this one, the Owl and the Galaxy from the SETI Institute. Okay, you see how I get my news feed?
I see. Now let me ask you something that just crosses my head.
Here's the actual article here. Here's the actual article I shared.
Is there an age group that you're aiming for, or just general audience?
I was deliberately trying, and I think a lot of people got turned away from this. I was deliberately making it family-oriented.
Okay.
I deliberately said, please keep it rated G, although I guess PG would have been fine too.
Sure.
Because I noticed that a lot of people were saying stuff, and it was starting to get, more adult-oriented. The idea is just like the idea of the indoctrination at childhood. I was trying to share the science with the young people.
Okay, is our community kind of adult orientated, or is it?
Yeah, and it can get I mean we're adults here. We do we talk about adult things, and sometimes we joke about sex and stuff like this. But it's not the audience I want. It's not the way I want to run the hangout.
Okay, you want to reach
out. Some people
just
didn't care to do that. Some people say, "Well, fuck you. I don't want to be a part of your corny hangout."
Okay, do you want to bring people into the Great Debate community, or you want to get out of the Great Debate community?
Well, that's a semi-good question. The thing is that there is no debate.
Right. There's no debate. There's really just people here.
What I mean to say is there literally is no debate. There is no creationism versus science. No, there is no debate. You understand? Do you understand where I'm coming from? Here, let me give you a better idea. I'm going to show you. Am I still sharing? Okay.
Sure.
I guess I am. Do you see my Facebook page? It's all dark.
Yes.
Okay. This group is for discussing the future of this country and ultimately the planet. It pertains to science. Blah 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 blah. Right.
Right.
Rule number 1. There's only 2 rules. Rule number 1. Instead of dogma means there is no proselytizing, Bible thumping, Jesus speak, Christian afterlife, creation verses, etc. allowed in this group. There is no such thing as creationism or creation debate.
Right.
That nonsense will not be tolerated in this group. That's where I'm coming from. There is no debate. There is no such thing as a creation debate. Anything that tries to be is just feeding into the religion's nonsense.
Well, let's think of this in the terms of astronomy. Okay, you want to escape our solar system, right? Or at least the, let's say the gravitational pull of this Great Debate community and go to another planet, right? See what kind of intelligence they have over there.
You mean I want to get out of the black hole of the creationist bullshit? Yeah.
You want to see if you can escape the event horizon of the great
Yeah.
debate community.
Yeah.
If that's possible. Is it possible?
As long as you don't get up to the event horizon, you're all right.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, you go to a Nadia hangout. Can those people talk science?
Sometimes. Nadia is actually very intelligent. I don't know if you know that.
Yes.
But
is it possible that, when you get in there and then people are talking about the Trinity, you say, stop the music, let's talk about serious stuff?
Yeah, it's not possible. It's just not possible. She seems to feed on that stuff. I don't know.
She feeds on it. She makes her money from it.
Yeah. So, what can I say?
So you got to get out of here,
She's the one. She's the amazing one that can have 24-hour day hangouts. I don't know how she does it. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do that, and I don't think I ever want to. So, more power to her.
Let me ask a very serious question, Patrick. Is there anybody else like you in our community?
I don't know. I thought there was, and apparently not. Oki from Canada, my so-called co-host, is one of the most scientific.
Okay, tell me about all the science heavy hitters in our community. Is Ice this one?
Yes, I find him to be intelligent, even if he is kind of a punk kid sometimes.
He is a kid. Well, tell me who the big science heavy hitters are in our community.
There is the science guy. What's his name? It's a biologist. There's Scott, who is the.
What about the Fiona woman?
Yes, I haven't actually talked to her yet. In fact, I was trying to get into a hangout to try to talk to her when the shit hit the fan with the cloning, and that's why I never actually ended up talking to her. I still haven't talked to her.
Not terrible.
Yeah. I was trying to get a couple of semi-scientists or even a real scientist like Fiona.
Right.
But it never happened. The one kid that I told you about, the 13-year-old who's actually doing a spectroscopy.
And then there's Albert Ripple. I don't know if you ever catch Albert.
Scott is the biotech engineer.
Scott.
But as smart as he is, I found him to be a little sort of unenthusiastic is the word. I'm not sure how to say this.
Apathetic.
Yeah, he kind of like doesn't have. In other words, I still want him to be part of it, but he doesn't have the excitement about it. Like he doesn't want to shout. Okay. He doesn't want to shout his biotech knowledge to the world.
Okay, listen, Patrick. How are you going to catch people on fire about science here? I mean, are you going to just demand it?
No, I'm not going to demand. No, that's the problem. The problem, that was the idea. That you're asking me how I'm going to do that, and I'm actually asking you, because that was the idea. The idea was to try and see if I can get people.
Okay, well let's take the G-Man approach. Let's take the G-Man approach, where you just call bullshit on people like Nephilim Free, Arcane Logos.
Well, I did that too. I got kicked out a couple times.
Start labeling your hangouts how G-Man is completely wrong or an idiot. How Nephilim Free.
I know, but I don't know how to. Because once I start going into that field, then I'm doing the debate thing, which is wrong. Which is there is no debate. It's just not real. It's a fucking fairy tale. Drop it. Let's talk about the upcoming the new spacecraft we have now in the United States. You're in the States, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. Our new passenger vehicle now is the Orion spaceship, and let's talk about that. Let's see the new stuff that's on it. How cool it is. Let's see what we've got. We've got a new vehicle now that's going to be it's going to be the vehicle that's going to end up taking us to Mars, but it's going to be doing some other flights before.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this.
Et cetera, right?
You have all this knowledge. What happens when people like me, ask you dumb questions? I mean, you lose patience with us, but you realize that we don't know that much.
Well, sometimes it depends. It depends.
Like if we could fill a balloon with a substance that could escape our gravity.
Yeah, that's sort of thing.
I'm not asking you to troll you, but I just, I don't know that much.
I was embarrassed for you.
To be a teacher, you're going to have to learn patience, right?
Yeah, I see. That's another thing. I don't have the degrees and stuff like that. And sometimes when I start talking about the reality, I get tongue-tied and stumble over my own tongue and go hamana. But the idea is to get people excited, and you're asking me how I'm going to do that. And actually, that's what I've been doing. I've been asking other people how am I going to do that. How do I get people excited about it?
Well, how about this, Patrick? What if you recruit some really charismatic, partner?
Yeah, well, I thought I had one. Apparently, he wasn't.
even I know that when you put a woman in a video, people watch it. Same thing
That's
probably with
true
a
too.
hangout.
That's true too. I hate to use the tool of sex, but that's true.
But to get in order to give a a vehicle to your message.
Yeah. Do you know who Pamela Gay is?
No, please
She
tell me.
does a science podcast on Weekly Space. Let me see if I could just give you a little picture of her.
Sure.
Let me just go ahead and Google Pamela Gay.
So there's a lot of approaches, a myriad of approaches you could take towards your show. Just that we know that Patman Festa is about science.
There we go. Pamela Gay, astronomer. There she is. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna share this screen again, and then oops, I keep hitting that wrong button. Keep minimizing. Okay. Share screen. Entire screen. Quickly go to the Pamela Gay. Oops, sorry about that. There we go. So there she is.
Okay,
Okay.
let me see.
University of Texas, Austin.
Hey, she's here. I could go visit her. She's younger than me too.
Yeah. So
What did I do with my life, huh? So she's
so
a
there.
big heavy hitter here at UT.
Yeah. She does this podcast for years now. Now she's doing the video, cast with Fraser Kane and all that. So yeah. The Astrocast, I think it's called. I forget
The
what it is.
Astrocast at the
Right.
McDonald Observatory. I think that's the Texas A&M one. But
Okay, so let me get that off of there and stop sharing.
well, yeah, there's the IMAX one that.
Oh, I should.
Yeah,
Okay,
why don't you
yeah.
show that to the people too?
Sorry, I should have just left that up. Back to the Google screen.
Okay, would you suggest to our listeners to just, for the hell of it, go out and buy one of these wonderful science CDs that they like sell on Amazon? Just
I don't know. I mean,
get
there's
some
so many out
science
there.
into your system instead of freaking Game of Thrones, uh, whatever other baloney they watch.
Well, here's the thing. It's too long of a story to put in a simple sentence, but you have to understand that when you grow up like I did and you see the Science Channel actually putting science shows up compared to today, when I turn on the Science Channel or the Discovery Channel, I'm expecting to see science,
Right.
not pseudoscience.
Not Honey
When I
Boo
turn on the History
Boo
Channel,
or Ancient Aliens.
right, I'm expecting to see history, not pseudo history, not it must be aliens, ancient
Right.
aliens.
Could it
This is
be
History
aliens?
Channel 2. What the hell kind of shit is this? This isn't real. It belongs in the sci-fi. When I see it on the Sci-Fi Channel, then I'm okay because that's the name of the channel is called Sci-Fi Channel, right? So if I see it on there, that's fine. That's what that channel is. You know what
Do
I
you ever
mean?
think that, there will be a reaction against this type of, what do you say, sensational prostitution of the sciences on our science channel?
I don't know. I don't know. And that's what I'm fighting. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to promote the reality, promote the science, and steer people away from excuse the French, the fucking bullshit I have to stop sharing if I'm going to go back to the Google screen. Otherwise, I go into infinite regress.
Right. Go ahead. Well, Patrick, this has been a wonderful interview, and I wish you the best for your show. Would you mind hanging around while I open up the floor to the participants?
No, I don't mind. I'm still
All
here.
right, great. I'm going to go ahead and take a short, quick break while I send out the invites and open up the floor.
Okay, and I'm going to go smoke a cigarette.
Go ahead, please. Hey, there's what's going on.
Can you hear me now?
Hello, I can hear you now.
Alrighty.
How's it going?
Pretty good. We should have a couple other interesting chaps drop in pretty soon. Some of them are AFK right now, but they'll be in shortly.
Yeah, I'm doing invites real quick. Another minute. Patrick went out for a smoke.
How did the interview go?
I thought it went all right. Pretty damn good.
Did Pat lose it?
No, I managed to keep him
Keep him
calm.
reined in?
I tried. I signed a statement saying I wasn't going to give him a heart attack.
You swore?
Jeff Keller. And, of course, Pyong, wherever he is.
We should get someone in here that can super do science, man. Get like Nephilim Free in here or something.
Yes, we
rattle on the bullshit. See if Patrick can.
I was thinking of like who else are the big, as far as science, who are the big science heavy hitters that we know besides Patrick? And the only thing that came out was Fiona.
Scientist Sam.
Sam. Any science.
Sam the scientist.
Sam the scientist, such a person, huh?
Yeah,
How you doing,
yeah.
Simon?
I think he's on my list. I'll give him an invite. I think he did his PhD.
He's a geneticist.
Recently. Yes.
I think he's a geneticist.
Is there a astronomer besides Patrick?
Isn't I think Star Splitter is his name. Isn't he an astrophysicist? Or he's going to school to be an astrophysicist?
Yeah, he's also on my friend list, so I can give him.
Are these like Nadians or Nadia type people?
No. I don't think he's been to Nadia's hangout a couple times, but I know I've only been in a couple with him, but I think he's going to school for astrophysics.
Wow. Okay, and then on the other end we have Nephilim Free, Arcane Logos, the Commander, right?
I guess.
Right.
Well, I mean,
okay.
Did I leave anybody out?
I've got a place called Astronomy Cast, which I'm subscribed to.
I like looking at pictures of space. Always.
I've had some decent talks with Pat before, dude, about science, about astronomy and planets and whatnot.
I asked Patrick if he bristles if somebody asks him a dumb question. He says, well, he sort of, he has to develop his patience.
Well, I do know when you ask him a good question, he gets very excited. So maybe if he hears a dumb one, he gets kind of pissed. So I can understand that.
Okay, Lyrics, when somebody asks you a dumb question, you get pissed?
Depending on how dumb, dude. I mean, if we go to do molecules reason or do particles reason, that kind of stupid.
Right. Arcane Logos territory.
I've never talked to Arcane, so I don't really know what kind of questions you...
Simon, have you seen Arcane Logos in action?
No, I haven't actually even seen him full bore. I've seen him, been in a hangout for about 20 minutes with him where he was.
I've seen him go toe-to-toe with Adam Pugh.
Wow.
And Adam Pugh had to go ahead and smack him down with the science, whip. Yeah, the science can get really stupid. The pseudoscience can. Of course, now we have this person named Johnny Kish, who tells us about the evil of atheists and evolution. And I told Patrick that I thought, really people talk up supernatural more than creationism. What do you guys think?
Yes. Yeah, because that's what's behind creationism.
I mean, they talk up the supernatural, the Holy Ghost, God in your life, God's talking to me.
If you don't have an excuse like that, then, or magic, then you're going to have to put reason in there.
Okay, well, Brojo, are you there? Maybe
I'm back.
Maybe that's a Brojo clone.
No, I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm multitasking. Sorry.
I was gonna, ask Brojo if God speaking to you really matters. Because I've always accepted you as a atheist, right, Lyrics, Simon?
Yep.
So we're kind of invalidated.
Are you asking me if God speaks to me?
Yeah, is that important? Is that important for the believer? Have some sort of supernatural explanation for that in place.
Well, I think ultimately for how I perceive God speaking, if you want to call it, is much different than the theist.
Okay, I see a car, so I pray if God wants me to have the car, He'll tell me, right?
No, well, I don't see it that way, no.
I mean, how does it work for them? Tell me, Bro Joe.
It's all very subjective. This is what this all comes down to experience. I think for any God believer, I mean, they have to, ultimately admit, and many do admit that it's a matter of faith. It's based on a subjective experience. There's no empirical evidence for an existence of God. You have to be honest to say that. I mean, the fundies will differ. They'll pull Romans 1 out of their ass or something like that.
Okay, but Bro Joe, the reason God speaks to the believers is because they need to tell them what to do, right? That's why they're praying to God. Tell me what to do, God. That's why they're praying to Him, right?
Yeah, or praying for somebody else. Praying for forgiveness, as far as the Christian goes.
Okay. This is a basic. I guess it's a dumb question, but all Christians pray, right? Or is there a section of Christians that don't even worry about that?
I think people lie.
I don't know all Christians.
I think people lie about praying a lot, dude.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
They say they're praying, but they just know it's all baloney.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that do pray, and I guess fundamentalists really do, but I don't think that a lot of people do it. How many times have you prayed in your life?
Well, when I was a believer, quite a few times.
So you got down on your knees on your bed and
no, I was just too lazy to do. I was just
so
like
you didn't pray
in bed
then.
praying.
Well, isn't praying an act of submission, a physical act of submission?
No, I never thought of that. Bro Joe, I just laid in my bed and prayed. Was I like doing it wrong?
No, I guess not.
Well, you can pray any way you want, man. I'm not saying it's wrong or it's
well, the Catholics get down on their knees. I know that.
Yeah. Every time that I've prayed, I've gotten down on my knees.
I think
like yesterday.
The word we
yeah.
use in the Anglican Church is supplication.
Supplication.
You have to show appreciable supplication. So
Is
bow
Patrick
your
back?
head.
Yes, I
so
am.
that you are less than God. That kind of thing.
Okay, you have to show that you are humble before God.
Yes, that's a better way.
So you
of
can't
saying
pray naked, or could you? I don't know.
Well, Steve Vai has got a good album out called Sex and Religion, where he argues about why you shouldn't be able to worship God in your bed. In the act of having sex is surely worshipping God.
He's one of the foremost theologians that we have in America today.
I believe so.
Welcome to the show, Frank. How are you doing?
If God says go forth,
I know.
I don't know. There's something sacred about multiplying, surely.
I am Patman.
Who's hanging?
So Patrick, I mean, you said there was like no debate with the creationists. Is that just goes for as far as the origins of life, or do you consider that there is a possibility of a God or source?
When I say that there is no debate,
in any sense?
when I say there is no debate, I mean it's nonsense. If you're gonna approach me with even the single idea of how a deity created everything, especially if you're gonna sit there and try to tell me that the Earth is only a few thousand years old, I'm gonna spit in your face and walk away.
Well, how about somebody who doesn't believe that the Earth is just 6,000 years old, but believes in a creator?
If I had a list of people I can't stand the most, they would be lower on the list. The people that I can't stand the most are the highest ones. The first ones that I want to spit in the face are the ones that literally think that the Earth is 6,000, 10,000, or any 1,000 years old. You know.
Okay.
If in your lifetime, Patrick, you could colonize on Mars, be part of the experiment, would you do it?
Not me. I'm one of those people that need all the comforts at home.
Okay.
Really, with all your fascination with space, you wouldn't do that trip?
I'm fascinated with with all the ideas and exploration, but it takes a certain kind of person. I'm also fascinated with trying to find life out there, you know, things like that. But I'm also looking at only the realities, you know, the fact that there's thousands of stars. I mean, in just one little tiny section of the sky, where the Kepler spacecraft was pointed to, which is right between the Cygnus and Lyra constellation, that they found thousands of planets out there orbiting other stars. That fact alone is fascinating to me, and the fact that we're starting to map these things and trying and actually finding out what these planets are supposedly like. That's fascinating.
That's awesome. Awesome. Hey, Patrick, I hope you have some saliva in your mouth because look who's here to spice things up. Tommy Hall.
Yeah, I see.
Oh my.
That's the kind of maniacal laugh if I ever heard one.
Yeah.
Okay, Patrick, what was the first planet made in our solar system? Was it the farthest one out, Pluto, or?
No, it doesn't work that way. It's basically
okay.
You have a. Let me see if I could find you a picture of something that they just. It might be an enhanced semi-computer graphics picture, but it's of a star that they looked at that has the disk of dust that is a system is starting to form.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find it for you. You go ahead and talk.
Well, I was just curious if it was like the farthest planet, it was the one that was first made, or the closest planet was the one that was first made.
They have no idea yet. They're still
okay. Let me unmute, and I'll stay unmuted while I look. There's not one that was made before the other.
Okay.
It was a process of all of them.
I think the mission to the asteroid that we had recently is leading the charge in a different direction as far as looking at the formation of the solar system differently. They found out that the comet was not an ice ball; it was pretty much like rock. I think it was melanin or some sort of substance that's very. There's a lot of it in the universe and stuff like that. So they're starting to rethink all of the thoughts about the creation of the solar system. You know, just due to this one little trip to the asteroid.
Right.
Like, okay, well, anything that enters our solar system is going to be made out of iron, carbon. You know, what kind of elements are going to make that rock?
All different, dude. There were set models for what comets were. They were specifically made of ice and rock. You know, certain amounts of rocks and stuff. But most of them thought they were ice balls. Most people thought they were ice balls, and they found out that it wasn't so. So they have no idea what's going on right now. I think a lot of the times astrophysicists.
Well, I wouldn't say they have no idea. I would say
I know, but they're in the process of re-examining what we're really seeing.
Right. Real quick, not to change the subject, but guess what, Bunto? I found that photo I was looking for before while I was looking for something else. I'm going to share it for like a few seconds, and I'll take it back off the screen.
Go ahead, share and explain it to our listeners, please.
There it is. You see what I see?
Right. Yes, I do.
This is early in my investigation.
Okay, please, start from, square one.
I don't want to talk about it. It's just that we were talking about it earlier, and I don't want to bog down this interesting chat with this nonsense.
Okay, yeah, we're on science.
But I just wanted to finally share the picture that I was trying to share with you earlier. You look at the middle one, and you'll see 4 names up there. Okay.
Right.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
All right. Just wanted to share that with you. And then now let me find that picture I was about to show you, if I could find it.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is, like, could a comet come in and be something valuable like gold or something that we could freaking
Well, what they're finding out now is comets are variable different things, various different things. Some comets are those old-fashioned idea of dirty ice balls. Other comets turn out to be more asteroid-like. So the latest one that the European Space Agency managed to orbit around and try to land on, and it was a semi-successful landing, is a very lightweight. It's I think the consistency is something like, what do they say? Less than styrofoam, I think.
Oh, seriously.
It's like mostly snow and stuff. It's dirty and it's like. Whereas another one, I don't remember which one it was. It turned out to have like a rocky core, more like an asteroid. So it's hard. They're finding that there's no set. The dirty snowball idea is still good, but they're finding that it's not the only kind that are out there.
Well, let me ask you this. Eventually we're going to get hit by a comet or an asteroid, right? Our planet?
Well, let's hope that it's not anytime soon.
Well, the thing is that there are some benefits to it, right? Don't we get all these precious metals when something like that hits our planet?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is where, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, tell us, you're the science.
Yeah, in other words, you have to start with the star itself. And just want to interrupt my own chain of thought here. I think this is one of the pictures. This is a star that has a ring of stuff around it that is forming into a solar system, so to speak.
Right.
Okay, so this is before any planets are born. This is an idea. I don't know how much of this is actual image and how much of this is
computer
graphics. Yeah, but essentially it came from an actual image.
That's a beautiful picture.
Yeah, it is a star that has essentially a dust cloud around that is turning into a solar system. In other words, give it a couple billion years and there'll be planets around there.
Billion years.
Billions, yeah.
All right.
So the question was about the stars. You have to start with stars.
Right.
You have to understand where the elements that we are made of, the computer that you're using, the silicon, the plastics, the carbon, the water for that matter, the hydrogen, everything that is anything heavier than hydrogen actually came from a supernova.
Right.
There's no other way for anything heavier than helium to have been formed. Therefore, by conclusion of these, after long, 100 or so years of contemplating this, there's no other way except for somewhere in our neighborhood of ball of gas before we became a star in the solar system, a supernova or more than one supernova perhaps exploded, injecting its stuff that it fused together, all the heavier elements that we have here on Earth, that gave us what we have. You have to realize that we are literally, and it is fascinating and it's mind-boggling to think of this. It's almost a spiritual experience to think that we actually did come from star stuff, and I could explain it, and I'm going to mute while the clock chimes.
Okay. Well, just to tell our listeners, we have some interesting questions in the side chat. One is like, why do some planets spin backwards? And another one was, where does all the dirt come to make planets? Does any of our participants know?
I just finished telling you about the heavier elements coming from stars.
Right. They're like aggregates of molecules, I guess, right?
Listen, there's a chain reaction. The reason why we know how it works is because we created a horrifying weapon.
Right.
Out of E equals mc squared, and out of the idea, out of the knowledge that hydrogen atoms fuse together to make helium, and there's a chain reaction that takes place. It actually takes 4 hydrogen protons, and there's a long chain reaction that takes place. This is going on in any star, and our sun included, all over the star. Okay, the fact that we know this, and the fact that we understand this, and the fact that we created a horrifying weapon out of this is absolute proof that we know how it works.
We know how these things come
because we created a hydrogen bomb, therefore it does work that way.
Okay, Tommy, are you there? Tommy Hall. Did you know this fact that that Einstein established how the universe came about? I don't know if Tommy's there.
I don't know if he's there either. Let me see if I can find
Einstein
that.
Most of this stuff was on relativity, right?
Well, the thing
Right.
is that E does actually equal MC squared, and he actually wrote a letter to Roosevelt saying that some of his colleagues in Germany were working on this horrifying weapon, and he felt that we should have it first because they were evil, but I think he regretted sending that to the president, that
Because
letter.
we made it ourselves.
Yeah, we made it ourselves, and they did not use that, I found out, because of the immensity of the explosion that took place when they tested it. It went by a factor of, well, no, let's say not a factor. I would say they were calculating 7 megatons, and it came out to be more like 10. So they miscalculated at least 3 megatons worth of explosion coming from this hydrogen fusion bomb. So they did not use that. They used a fission bomb and that's, you know, it's still a horrible weapon, but they used fission bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Okay.
Well, fusion bomb that they first tested, and that is the power of the sun. That literally is the sun on this planet, and it was a tiny little ball of material that they used to create this weapon.
Right. Well, let me say this: that the creationists, the problem they have getting their idea around this, their mind around this idea, is the amount of time, right, Patrick? We're talking billions of years, while they think of
Right.
thousands of years.
Right. Right. And here's that other picture. Let me see. Am I still sharing that one? Let me just.
Well, Tommy's back. Tommy, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
If you're there. Okay. You think in terms of thousands of years, right? 6,000 years?
Yeah.
Or 10,000 years, right? While the astronomer thinks in billions of years. Why?
Astronomer knows.
Yeah.
Why such a discrepancy?
Well, this is not my best topic, but
But why do you think there's such a
Real
discrepancy?
quick, this is the picture. This is the artist rendition.
That's a
of
beautiful picture, Patrick.
That's an artist rendition of the solar system forming.
I mean, it's a completely different way of looking at existence.
Right, a billion
You
years.
know, so basically, Patrick's way is a way that says that physical properties or physical things came together and somehow created more physical things, and over billions of years, that's how things originated.
I'm sorry. It's not my way. It's not Patrick's way.
Okay, well, I meant the opposing view.
Let's say that the way you understand it,
Well-
you may be wrong.
Well, I'm just saying my way is the
Go ahead and
mind.
lay out his case, Patrick, and then you can interject. Go ahead, Tom.
I believe in mind over matter. In other words, I think mind or intelligence is responsible for the creation of the physical universe. Whereas you, and I don't mean you, I mean the other side, would say that there's no mind, that basically all this came together by way of rocks colliding together, and that's a simplistic analogy, but just essentially different things, whether that things be chemicals, physical properties, whatever it was, they come together, they interact, they explode, they do this, they do that, and over millions or billions of years, different things originate that way. So it's just a totally different way of looking at existence. One is like I say, mind. It's basically mind versus matter as the ultimate source of creation.
Patrick?
I'm sorry. I was probing around. Okay. Yeah. As long as he doesn't start saying it's Patrick's way and stuff. Okay, that's acceptable to. In other words, you have to be careful when you say things like, the Patrick's way or the atheist idea or. But he managed to correct himself, and all I can say is that let me just share this other picture while we're talking about this. This is actually the depiction of a fusion proton chain of how hydrogen.
But can't you sort of see, Patrick, how this is like overwhelming to guys like me and Tommy? We just want to understand how something could happen.
Well, the thing is that to be guilty of what I just yelled at Tommy about, what Tommy is doing is, because he doesn't understand, and like you said, it's overwhelming to you or something. Because you don't understand something doesn't automatically give you the right to say, well, then it must be a mind. It must be. If you don't understand something, the trick is to try and figure it out, and that's what science does. It tries to figure things out.
Oh,
and there's no such thing as
Do
knowing
you,
everything.
Patrick, do you find it disconcerting that with all the greatest minds thinking about this for the past 100 years, that they're still really not too much closer to understanding most of what's going on?
Actually,
in
that's
astronomy?
wrong. They do understand a lot more over the last couple hundred years. A lot
Well,
more.
they understand more than they did, but ultimately the big questions are still unanswered.
No.
So it seems like if it was physical things doing this responsible.
Don't take a subject and then run away with it and then go off on a tangent. You specifically asked about something that, first of all, is just not true. We understand a lot more, a whole lot more.
Okay, where did the planets come from?
Googleplex more than we understood 150 years ago.
Okay, you say all the planets
That's number one.
came
Number
at the
two
same
is
time.
there is never any such thing as knowing everything. We can be here for another billion years and we still won't understand it because there's always new questions coming up. It's too complex to actually.
I'm just saying there are big questions and competing theories about virtually everything. Which means if there's competing theories, that means there aren't really any hard answers.
See, you're saying competing theories. Okay. There's
Give me an example.
There's not competing theories of what you're oversimplifying. Okay, your idea of a theory is a creation is a theory.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay, talk about planet formation. Is that pretty much set in stone on how that happened?
There's always new information.
Should it be set in stone, Tommy?
It's not set in. It's never going to be set in stone, but they are discovering a whole lot more than they understood before.
Okay, I'm just saying since there are competing theories about that and virtually everything, that pretty much cements the idea that there aren't any really.
No, it doesn't pretty much cement anything.
Let me ask Tommy a question. Is it important to cement ideas, Tommy?
Well, I think mysteries are the enemy of science. Science doesn't like mysteries. I celebrate mysteries.
No,
please. Let her finish.
I celebrate mysteries and love them, and I think that's one of the greatest things about existence is there's always something to investigate, and that's kind of the cool thing. I think that we won't really ever know the answers to a lot of these things.
But you are wrong to say that mystery is the enemy of science. It is completely the opposite.
Well,
mystery is the beauty of science.
It kind of is because science.
No, let me finish. No, you are absolutely wrong. Mystery is science. Trying to solve the mysteries is what science is about. Not plugging in with something because you don't understand it. Okay, therefore it must be God. No, the mystery is the beauty of science.
Very good. Okay, let me do a quick interjection here, guys.
The beauty of the scientific method is the anticipation of a better explanation.
Very good.
That comes from Patrick Festa.
Very good, Patrick. Let me go ahead and speak here for a minute. Frank, are you there?
Hold on, I'm listening to some music right now. Hold on.
Oh, okay, I'll hold on.
He's listening to some music.
All right, what's up?
Okay, Frank, let me ask you a question to our analyst here.
Listening to too. That's funny.
To our analyst, Frank. Frank, are there not hurdles that the mind has? You know, the mind can't comprehend certain facts, and it's kind of unfair to tell the mind, hey, you have to believe this. You know what I mean? To cross the hurdle, because it is. Shouldn't some things be set in stone? That's what I'm trying to get around to.
Nothing should be set in stone.
Okay, why shouldn't things be set in stone for the human mind to understand?
No, because the brain itself is there's a thing called plastic, where it actually evolves itself.
A plasticity to the mind where it grows.
Exactly. Yes. Nothing is set in stone. We have always the opportunity to evolve. Right now, our minds can't comprehend certain things because we don't have, the situation doesn't come up yet. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I'd slightly disagree with that in that there seem to be certain axioms which are set in stone, which are not going to change, the law of contradiction, the logical absolutes.
And those type of things, I agree, yeah.
Right. There are actually some things that are now set in stone.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that.
Sure, no, I appreciate it. I was just kind of pointing out a counterexample.
But, I wake up and I want to know how the solar system is made today, You know, that knowledge is not afforded to me now, but certainly later, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. As far as we could find out, and we could explore.
What do you think of that, Tommy? That you'd have to wait for that knowledge to be, revealed to mankind. Science will eventually reveal to you how these things come to be, but they're just not available now.
Well, that's basically saying science is working on it, which I actually hate that.
Okay, why do you hate that? Tell me why.
I hate that because it's used as a sort of a crutch to help people get over particular arguments, and it's kind of like a night-night blinky, in a way. It's like, well, I don't believe in here's how I see it. I mean, like, I believe in God, and there's something about that's comforting. And to me, it's almost like the people on the other side uses science is working on it. They haven't figured out everything yet. They're working on it.
That's the problem.
As if it's almost like it's, kind of a little thing for.
In there lies the bullshit.
For comfort.
In there lies the bullshit.
Let him finish, Tom.
Okay. Well, I was pretty much done, but I do have a comment when we have a chance. I'd like to get back to the whole thing about science. The enemy of science is mystery, but when we have a chance.
All right. Well, that's the problem. In there lies the bullshit, because no, it's not. We're using it as an excuse or something. No, because that's what science does. Because people of the religious zealots like yourself, you have to have an answer now. I want to know what this answer is. If you can't tell me, then you're full of shit. No, science is about trying to find the actual truth. And if it takes a year, if it takes 10 years, if it takes 100 years to figure out the whole thing in its process, that's what it takes. There's always going to be more information. There's always going to be a tweaking of the theory. There's always going to be some new technology that gives us even more understanding and things of this nature. That's what science does. It's not about
let me give you an example.
We're going to use this as an excuse because we're just trying to argue with you. No, it doesn't. That's not it. That's not it. Mystery is the beauty.
Okay, so for example, let's take cancer. How long have they been working on cancer? And in the meantime, millions and millions of people keep dying, and they keep getting billions and billions of dollars. I'm not trying to sway this to the cancer argument, but that's just an example of a situation where I'm really sick of hearing them say science is working on it.
Well, that's just too bad.
This could be spread
all
throughout science.
Take biology course and try to figure it out and help them. That's just too bad.
I'm just saying, in the meantime, we keep pumping millions and millions and billions of dollars into these people.
Go ahead.
And I think a lot of it is a waste of time, and ultimately a lot of the answers will never be found, especially in the way that they're looking for them. So, I mean, I guess that's all I have to say about it. I think it's just kind of a crutch that, in a way, it's kind of like it's like saying,
Tommy, you can't possibly be totally anti-science, can you?
You guys keep spending this money.
Anti-science.
You keep sending us billions and billions of dollars, and we'll keep working on it. And don't lose faith, don't lose hope. We're still working on it. We're still working on it. We're still working on it. At some point, to me, there's something bigger and better than science working on it. There's such thing as truth. Being a Christian, I think Jesus Christ is the truth. But
you can't be totally anti-science, Tommy, are you?
I'm not a big fan of today's scientific community, no.
Why?
But as far as science itself, no. As far as actual experiments, setting up something, repeating an experiment, observing what's going on, no, I don't have a problem with that. I think today's science is biased in a lot of different ways and can't be trusted. So today's science I have a problem with, but actual real science I don't.
What? You're breaking up.
Okay, Patrick. All right. Tommy, science is a method that allows us to see what is real in our reality. Or is it a political conspiracy in your mind?
It's not a conspiracy. I think when people have let's just say, if they think in a light manner, like you wouldn't say that Christians are conspiring to do certain things or to have certain political agendas passed. I mean, we're not getting together and
I wouldn't say that. We just had an example in Indiana.
Okay, maybe you would.
Okay.
Okay, bad example. Well, anyway, I don't think a conspiracy is necessarily required if people have a like mindset. You know what I mean? If you think similar to somebody else, you don't need to get together and make a plan.
Is there too much groupthink in science?
I think there's paradigms. There's paradigms all over the place that must be adhered to.
Okay, there's a dogma to science.
Yeah, there's definitely dogma.
Oh, really?
Frank, isn't that absolutely true that there's a dogma to science?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Isn't it absolutely true that there is peridiums and
No,
dogma?
that's just not true. It's just not true.
Hang on, hang on.
That's not how science works.
Hang on. It is true in the history of science that has happened.
Yes, there's peridium shifts, obviously.
Right? We can say the phlogiston theory.
There
was
are
a
people
paradigm which
that
derailed
are
science.
scientists that are unscrupulous.
Yeah, no. We can say that the paradigm of phlogiston actually derailed science for 100 years or so.
Well, the paradigm is mind did not do it. They've got to figure out a way that mindless matter did it. So that right there is a paradigm.
Right. So that's okay in such, because it's only becomes a paradigm. It only becomes a paradigm when you take it to be orthodoxy.
Well, it is orthodoxy. It's the opposite is unacceptable. I mean, my way is unacceptable. It's an unacceptable way to do science.
Right.
To assume that consciousness or miracles or mind or anything like that is responsible for the creation of anything.
Okay, well, let me ask you this.
It really gets to the heart of it, because really what we're saying is that I think science has learnt from its previous mistakes, in that it now knows to question even its most fundamental aspects. We still question Einstein, his equations, and in doing so we've worked out between which limits that it applies. So I think science has learnt the particular lesson of questioning its own orthodoxy.
But
And that's
the whole
something
basis
that
of this
we don't
scientific
see on the
method.
other side with religion. Carry on.
No, but isn't that the whole basis of scientific method? You have to have a theist and the anti-theist to make a synthesis.
No.
Or
First of all, I disagree with. There is no orthodoxy in science, or
Well, he's saying in the
dogma in
past.
science. I don't know about orthodoxy. I don't know the definition really.
Well, I can
There
give
is
you an
the
example.
method. The scientific method is specifically designed to make us objective, because we are human and humans do make mistakes, and there are some unscrupulous people who are scientists who try to salt their experiments or whatever to sweeten their promotion, whatever. And those are the unscrupulous ones. And the scientific method specifically is designed to catch those assholes.
Right. Peer review.
Okay. It's not a dogma. It's a specific thing to catch us humans at the thing that we're best. Well, the humans that habit of doing, and that is being non-objective and trying to sweeten the pot. And that's why the scientific method is still around. Again,
Well, that's what I said before.
Sorry, carry on.
There was a theist and the anti-theist, and makes a synthesis. That's the whole basis of the scientific method. But I could definitely agree with Simon that in the past that was still under development. So there was still some dogmatic thought within the scientific community. So
yeah, the scientists were
I could
out there.
definitely see.
But you had the church calling the scientist, like Galileo, for example, a blasphemer, and put him under house arrest because he disagreed with the church. Okay, this is the anti-science that's been going on for a couple thousand years.
Yeah, but this is even within the scientific community where it was developing their new sciences. It has been thought that way, because there is a paradigm shift in the sense that sometimes it takes a lot of painstaking work, especially within my field of psychology. Has been really rampant with a lot of disagreements and dogmatic thinking, if you want to call it.
Right. Well, I could just think of an example in my head right now. Daniel Dennett, right, who is the professor at Tufts University, he goes to sleep an atheist and wakes up a Christian, and wants to start telling about universal consciousness, in his class. He's out of there by the end of the week. Isn't that not dogma, Frank?
Well, it's really shocking in a way is when you start proposing that, but that's philosophy.
It becomes dogma when you think that's only it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or when you're not prepared to give justified reasons.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
another way. I mean, if Daniel Dennett wakes up and has a fully justified reason why he's taken this new position, then I don't think he's going to lose his job overnight.
Yeah, but he has to prove it. He has to really quantify it to
If you're
really
going
determine that.
To
and if
interrogate
you wake up the next day with a contradictory opinion to the one you had the day before, I would say that's going to need some justification.
Well, he could go get a job at Liberty University instead of Tufts, right? Is that what?
And no problem for him.
to interrogate nature, that's where the fun is.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Now, Tommy, do you have a problem with a lot of scientists not being believers?
No, I think what you said is true. You know, like Daniel Dennett, I guess it's a hypothetical. But if he wakes up a Christian, you know, and starts teaching something fundamentally that's outside of the paradigm, he would probably be in trouble. His job would be in jeopardy. So I think there's probably some sort of a filter or sieve, you know, that kind of weeds out creationists and those who think outside of the traditional paradigm, whether it be Darwinism or long ages. There's a variety of different things. So I think by design or by whatever you want to call it, just creationists just aren't invited into that party. But I'd like to ask Green Soul something.
Sure.
You brought up the word plasticity, brain plasticity.
Correct.
Would you say that, see, from what I've read about biology, I would say that word alone can or has, it's very, what's the word? It's controversial. Is it controversial in your particular field as you see it?
No, not anymore.
Because, okay, did it used to be?
Yes, there was.
Okay. Well, yeah, the idea that the individual, the brain somehow knows what to do and comes up with you know, ways to fix itself on the fly, so to say, seems to contradict the evolutionary paradigm that says natural selection is ultimately what's responsible for adapting or fixing individuals. It's not. No, natural selection is the
contradiction. What are you talking about? A contradiction of evolution, as if you even know what that is.
I do. I'm telling you right now what it is.
No, you're not.
The theory of evolution says only.
You do it all the time, and that's what all the creationist idiots do.
Do you agree that the theory of evolution says only populations evolve?
No.
You don't?
No.
So individuals evolve?
Evolution is a lot more to do than just what you just said.
Can an individual evolve new traits?
No.
Okay, so then
Tommy,
only populations
stop.
evolve. Here's the thing: plasticity, indeed, does contradict.
No,
the
that has
theory.
nothing to do with evolution.
Just let me finish my sentence.
It's the learning process, just like you're doing right now. You're learning.
Let him go ahead and finish his point, and you can counter it, Pat.
It won't take long, Patrick. I'm not here to argue with you. Honestly, I've had a long day, so I'm kind of chilling. Yeah. So if an individual, whether it be brain plasticity or some other trait that somehow emerges or gets initiated within a single individual that makes him more fit, it can give the illusion, if enough of them do it in a population, that actually evolution is happening. Again, the theory of evolution says that only population.
Evolution.
I know. That's what I just said. It can give the illusion of evolution. Evolution
Not
says
even
that
an illusion
natural.
of evolution.
Oh man,
It's not. You're wrong.
That's what I just said. I said plasticity can give the illusion of evolution if they're not looking close enough at the actual way of how the animals change. So in other words, if you have a population of animals and they each individually experience a plastic response to the environment, if they come back years later and notice the population has changed, they could assume that evolution did it. But it could actually be just a plastic response to the environment. That's why I asked Green Souls if it had ever been that plasticity was controversial. He said it was. And I think it's for that reason. Okay.
Go ahead, Patrick. Or Green Soul.
No, it was not. That was not the issue. The issue was that, you know, there was a belief that the brain was just a brain, and it did not, you know, it just evolved over time. But the neuroplasticity is something that we actually found that actually could really adjust itself. And
was there a question there a question
what I'm
about
trying
what
to say-
initiated it?
What I was trying to say was it had nothing to do with evolution.
It had nothing to do with it. Exactly.
What-
There's a thing
what
called
created it at the time.
neuroplasticity
They pull up the word
with
evolution.
Darwin, but it's it just fits the same paradigm, if you want to call it that. But that was not even a question.
What I'm trying to say is that this is what people like Tommy do all the time. They apply these words or scenarios, these false scenarios to evolution everywhere they turn, and they don't understand what evolution actually is. You know, me learning how to use this computer is not evolution. It's me learning how to use this computer.
Patrick,
A cow that grows a limb out of its neck is not evolution. It's a birth defect.
Patrick, what is evolution?
Please.
Ugh.
Can you nutshell it?
Evolution, I don't know if I can. Evolution is the process of change in living organisms over time.
Okay.
How does it
And
happen?
I would say that it doesn't necessarily even have to be living organisms. I'll say evolution is something simple evolving over time to something complex. How's that?
That's not
Yeah,
necessarily.
because we use evolution computer programs.
That is life, and that is the complex simplicity thing is not a good way of
No,
putting it.
it specifically doesn't apply to evolution. Evolution doesn't state complexity or simplicity. It doesn't have.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it doesn't have a direction. It's just about adapting to an environment. And if that environment is more simple,
Okay.
then potentially the life form can become more simple
So change in genetic allele frequency over time.
over time.
The percentage
Yeah.
has to change. So the percentage has to go from 15% to 20% or whatever. There has to be a verifiable method that we can, we're able to measure these things, Tommy. You know this, dude. You've been given the whole spiel by Fiona and everyone else, dude.
Oh, I know it. I know it up, down, backwards. I know it all from all directions.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're going to get into the evolution thing or not. So was this an astronomy hangout or just kind of
Open interview,
Oh,
Patrick
okay.
Science.
Okay. Because I hated for it to get onto evolution.
Oh, go ahead. Well, how about this? Tommy.
It's just that I like astronomy. It's my favorite subject.
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
like to get back to either cosmology or astronomy.
Tommy, is it bad for people to explain things outside of the Bible, the way the Bible sees the world?
Well, I think the biblical worldview is as important as the Bible itself. I mean, God's word, if it's not extended to what's around us and how everything got here and the way that you see things, as far as origins and pretty much everything around you, then yeah, I think that's problematic. If you are going to claim to be a Christian and a Bible believer, yet you put your faith in the scientific community and the ways man say that things got here, then that seems to be a contradiction.
Well, that again, in there lies the problem I have with religion, because we are after the truth. We are after the actual reality. This is how things are. You are after, well, if you're a Christian, you can't believe the truth. You can't believe how things are. You can't interrogate nature. You're not allowed to. God doesn't want you to interrogate nature. Well, I say bluntly, I'll say, well, take your God and shove him.
Tommy, how is science faith-based? Give me an example of something that I take on faith.
That you personally do?
Well, do you think that people have that they correlate the same faith with science as you do with religion? Do you make that direct comparison kind of thing?
I think some do. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you're thinking it's like a theology. It's like there's some sort of scientific theology-ness to it, and it's not like that, man. And a lot of people don't put the same amount of faith that you put into your life that they put into science. So
I would say, to try to answer that, I think people have a tendency to not put their faith in the supernatural, but they do put their faith in the natural, and that's what science studies. So they assume, hello, Tommy.
Hey, sir.
They assume that nature did it. And that alone is a kind of a faith-based position, I think. If you say, I believe supernatural did it, I believe God did it, well, the antithesis is, I believe nature did it. You fall in one of the two camps.
Isn't the
certainly.
difference there being that, natural things, by their very definition, at least through science, are empirical and demonstrated and repeated,
Well,
and therefore not a faith position, but grounded in evidence?
not when it comes to origins. So when it comes to the origin of humans, the origin of consciousness or genes or atoms or time or space, none of that has a known origin by way of nature. Hey,
Why?
I don't know. I'll be right back.
Yeah, none of that has an origin.
As long as you understand that's just an assertion.
There you go.
Okay,
and I rest my case.
Okay, well that.
By the way,
Go ahead.
so I just wanted to thank Simon. I saw you posted this hangout, and I checked it, and I saw somebody with like an astronomy-related picture, and that's why I jumped in. So whoever has it up.
No, we're glad to have you, Star.
Who's that? Who's that? Is that Star?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm glad you're enjoying my little slideshow.
Okay, well let me ask you this,
I
Star.
immediately jumped in and was like, "Oh, we're talking about science here. Nice."
Blinded me with science.
Okay, excuse me, but Star, do you encounter a lot of science-based hangouts in our community? Are you part of the Great Debate community?
I mean, okay, this is a weird kind of question because it's like asking, is a hangout with the complete utter lack and rejection of science still count as a science-based hangout?
Right. We're talking the supernatural, talking UFOs. What else? 6,000-year-old Earth. That's something that you're used to in this community.
Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting idea though. Of having a hangout with the Great Debate community, where it's like, here's stuff going on in science. Here's something new you might not have known. And now let's take some callers who don't believe that the world is older than 1 million years.
Right. Okay. For one to get science, one needs to go outside of the Great Debate community.
I mean, currently the Great Debate community doesn't really offer it because anytime someone tries to bring it up, by necessity of it being the Great Debate community, people have to call into question the foundations of modern understanding of the universe.
Well, Patrick is trying to be a source of science in our community.
Amen.
Yeah, and it's
nice.
funny you should say this creation debate thing, because in my book, there is no freaking such thing as a debate when it comes to creation. It is just not true. It is just bullshit. It's a fucking fairy tale. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can go fuck off. That's the way I feel, and that's the way I'm going to continue to feel.
Amen.
And if the creationists don't like it, they can fuck off too.
Tell us how you feel, buddy.
Preach home.
All right. Well, let me ask somebody we haven't heard from in a long time. Pyong, are you there?
What's happening,
That's what I wanted
Bunto?
to hear. We haven't heard that voice in how long? How you doing?
been? Good.
Pretty good. It's great here. Okay, Pyong,
Yeah.
do you want to see? Would you go to a science hangout, or do you want to see, people like me and Lyrics talking up God?
Is it like a reverse? I wouldn't mind a reverse Oreo cookie science hangout with Fiona, Michael Ann McAllister, and Ermine.
Why not?
Huh?
Okay. All right. Okay, listen. You want more science in the Great Debate community, right, Pyong? Or you don't care at all?
I don't care at all, baby. You're not gonna convince anybody.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying? But
that's exactly Patrick's position, that there is no debate. There's no convincing.
yeah. I like Patrick. We got the same clock, kind of.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, Tommy Hall, if
Yes.
I convinced you of a scientific fact, would you believe me?
Well, yeah, if you convince me, yeah, that pretty much follows.
Okay, how old is our Earth, Patrick?
What was the latest?
4.75?
What was
Something
the
like
latest
that,
count?
right?
4.7?
4.5 billion years
4.3? I
old.
forget.
Okay, we can deduce this, Tommy, by using
It's more than
atomic
4 billion years
measuring
old.
methods.
I don't remember the exact decimal, but it's more than 4 billion years old. It's either 4.3 or 4.7. I forget which.
Okay,
4.54. So yeah, the median of what you said.
Okay, Tommy, we can ascertain this by using atomic methods of measuring that.
Mm-hmm.
Why can you not believe that?
Well, first of all, I don't deny that there are evidences on the other side, on your side, that would seem to point in your direction. But there are other evidences on my side that seem to point in my direction.
Okay, let me be specific here. What evidence can that possibly be? I just want to. I'm not trying to be rude, but it just makes me cringe every time I hear this nonsense. You have to understand. Think about this for a minute. Use your common sense. I know you have some. Use your common sense. How can it possibly be that we're only, even if I said 10,000, how can it be that we're only several thousand years old? How can that be when you could probably, if you tried hard enough, trace your ancestry back a few thousand years?
Well, yeah. Sorry. I'll have to get back with you.
Dogfight back there. Okay.
Just as my question was asked.
Well, I mean,
thank you, Paul.
Pat, you're getting the dogs riled up, buddy. Chill out.
I'm not sure about tracing. I mean, you can trace a lineage back maybe 1,000 years, I'd guess, but I couldn't imagine past 6,000. But I mean, we have records from civilizations which apparently are older than the creationist worldview.
True.
Yeah.
So
India has 10,000 years of history. Just India.
Yeah, there's a city in Iraq is 8,000 years old.
My worldview.
There's cave painting in France that are 40,000 years old.
Yeah, I mean, we have, when Tommy starts talking about we have evidence that suggests our side, yeah, bullshit.
Okay. All right, I think they're done. Okay, just for example, I'll give you one since you asked for one. One of the better ones I think is if humans were around, sure enough, for humans or hominids were around for we'll say 2 million, 3 million years, the bones alone should be stacked up to the sky. The Neanderthals were around for hundreds of thousands of years, and before that, another supposed species was around for
deposition, rotting away. There are only a few that have been fossilized.
Hang on. There are Neanderthals and other ancient human beings. They're human beings, but they've been dug up. Their bones, and the thing is, their bones are not. They're not fossilized, and so that means, if you think about it, that if their bones are not fossilized, that means that fossilization is not required for preservation. So there should be literally millions, if not billions, of these individuals found all over the place. Their civilizations should be everywhere. And the fact of the matter is, there's only about 200 to 300 of these Neanderthals.
Say that again. That fossilization doesn't require what?
I said, to be preserved, it doesn't necessarily require fossilization, because that's proven by the fact that some Neanderthal bones have been dug up and they've not been fossilized.
Correct.
So, okay. So that means we don't. There wouldn't have to be a water burial or some sort of a way to preserve the bones over time. That in other words, we should be able to see if some of the Neanderthals are dug up that are not fossilized, then they should be. They should be found like that.
No, because the times that we do find Neanderthals,
there are no fossilized Neanderthal bones. What happens in fossilization typically is there is a decay of an item that creates a void. Water leaches through the void and leaves some kind of mineral behind that aggregates into a fossil. So there are no fossilized Neanderthal bones.
Okay, so
what else you got, Tommy?
That's all I'm saying is that without the need for fossilization, we should indeed be finding their civilizations and millions, if not billions, of these creatures all over, and there are less than a couple hundred.
Just because we have some instances of preservation does not mean that everything gets preserved. And in fact, I feel like if you look at most of those cases that you're talking about, it's extreme instances. It's instances where, for instance, they're trapped under volcanic
deoxygenated ash. It's when they are, covered.
No, their civilizations are found. They're small communities. Here's the thing, though. Let me just say this, and I'll be quiet.
Found small communities.
What possibly could you think of
all preserved?
where the absence of something proves anything? It almost seems like you're saying that there's the absence of some kind of ancient civilization, and that proves something to you? I don't know.
The evidence. You guys are the ones that are having to rationalize this. The actual evidence is in my favor. If indeed
that's
humanity,
not evidence, though, Tommy. You're talking about the absence of evidence. Listen to what you're saying. You said the absence of evidence is meaningful.
Adios.
Bye.
Rage quit. All right, go ahead, finish your point, Pyong, because I want to hear it.
Oh no, it's absurd to say that the absence of something proves something, and that's evidence. He's saying my evidence is that we don't have evidence of ancient human civilizations. What a butt fuck!
And he's asking to see. He said we should be able to see.
You show me this shit.
That's funny coming from his side.
I just want to thank you.
I can't believe you guys let him go with that shit.
Well, okay, the reason I let him go with it is because
I just want to thank you, Pyong.
Oh, you're welcome.
I just want to say that this is the great debate community. We have many Tommy Halls who believe that the Earth is only 10,000 years old.
Okay, you know what? Fuck you, Bunto. You're not letting me talk. Adios, buddy.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what I was saying. As soon as you prove him wrong, he's like, okay, I'm out of here.
Well, okay, very good point. But what I'm trying to say is Patrick needs to devise a simple way of reaching out to these believers with scientific facts. Don't you believe that? Like, I tried it by telling him that we can ascertain the age of the Earth through atomic means.
Mm-hmm.
And, the reason I did that is because we all use atomic means today. So how can we, use something of such great utility and not believe its findings of how old the Earth is?
Well, first of all, you're right, Lyrics. I do need more wine. I don't have any left. But I did give one because I'm into astronomy and stuff.
Right.
I gave the fact that we actually do understand how the sun stays lit. We do actually understand this method because, in fact, we unfortunately created a horrible bomb that uses the power of the sun, and that is the hydrogen bomb, which we never actually used on anybody. We went to the less powerful fission bombs. But the fact is that we created this thing because we understand how the process works. That's what I use. I use that, and I use a couple other examples. But when it comes to life and evolution, I basically say fuck off because I really can't explain evolution the way some of you guys can, like Pyong can.
No, I don't ever bother.
Well, you did. Anyway. I mean, you explained the fossilization and shit, which is much better than I could have done.
But I don't know. I don't know. What? So you're trying to talk people into science? Or
no, Patrick is actually starting his own show. It's called Science Sundays.
Oh, really?
And he's looking for a charismatic co-host, in fact, Pyong.
Oh, good. Maybe you can ask Tommy.
Well, okay. What's wrong? Why can't you use somebody like Pyong?
Well, I could. The thing is that it's hard to organize, and it didn't work out the last time, so I have to try and figure out how it's going to work. It has to be like a regular thing, and it was supposedly my idea was to format over the same format as the weekly Space Hangout and the Hubble Hangout, and I explained that to you before. With Tony Darnell and Fraser Cain, and he has a panel of scientists, and he asks these
Why does the Nadia Hangout work so well? Those things are packed every day.
Because it's the controversy. Because
it's controversy. So won't that work for your science?
That's just it. That's the problem. Because I refuse to put any religious bullshit into it, people don't want to even know about it. Like my Facebook groups. I have two Facebook groups. One has now over 3,000 members. It's approaching 4,000 members because it's called Atheists for the Advancement, etc., etc. The other one only has 150 or less members.
That's what it's called?
etc., etc.
No, come on now. The other one is simply called, it has no religious thing at all in it. It's like only 150 members, and they were created at the same time.
Excuse me.
Go ahead,
excuse me. Excuse me. It is tolerance. Tolerance makes Nadia's room work very well.
Okay, Patrick, maybe you need more tolerance.
I'm actually tired of that word. I'm actually being using the word loosely or using the phrase loosely. That's how I become the militant atheist.
Yeah, but
That's my way of being militant.
the problem is, Patrick, is
The only problem is.
hang on a second. Hang on. Let me just say.
That's the only problem.
Right. The only problem is that being angry all the time is very tiring and is very hard to keep doing.
Wait, Simon. Simon, you've seen Richard Dawkins, correct?
Yes.
You've watched The Atheist Experience?
Yes.
Well, there's a flavor of anger that we've
Point taken.
Okay,
by the way-
look, you've seen The Atheist Experience, right, Patrick? Could you do that? I know. Patrick!
Pat, you're mad at God.
Oh,
No,
well.
I was just off screen and I couldn't reach the mute button fast enough. I'll have to leave myself unmuted and use the power mic instead. No, I don't think I'm no Matt Dillahunt, that's for sure. I can't argue the anti-religion side. I can't do that. And in fact, that's why I'm trying to formulate these science hangouts as only science. Let's talk about the latest news in science. What happened today at NASA? You know, they just discovered something today at this, or something happened at certain laboratories,
We want
or
to
something like that.
combat our lulls. You know, it's sort of that's pearls before swine, don't you think?
I'm combative only towards creationists.
We've noticed.
Yes, and I make no excuses.
Okay, Dusty, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, you watched Patrick's Science Hangout, right? You were glued to it?
No.
And I don't blame him.
I just found out about this.
Okay, why? Okay, you would the next Science Hangout Patrick's going to have, you're going to be glued to it, right? If he's talking about Uranus.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Give him my full uninvited attention.
Come on, Bunto.
Uranus will be topic.
Uranus is the greatest argument for gay marriage that we've ever had.
Okay,
I
look.
keep telling you guys. I don't know when nobody believes me. I keep telling you they changed the name. You know, they changed because of all the jokes. You know, they changed it to your rectum.
Correct. Okay, Kyung, how can we make Patrick's Science Hangout work? I mean, you have to have females or what? For the great debate.
Strippers in the
I don't know.
background.
Fuck, it works.
Tits and trilobites. That's what we'll call it.
Hot time slot, maybe? I'm not sure.
Okay,
When are you doing this?
Ermine is co-host.
Tits out
Oh,
for the
yeah.
trilobites.
Okay, look, Patrick, could you work with Ermine?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
That's talent,
A
Patrick.
little bit racist. That's
Because-
all right.
no,
That's okay, Pat.
Yeah, you're a racist.
Excuse me. No, because she can't work with me.
Excuse me.
She could work with you.
I don't know about that. Yeah, better ask her.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah. I'm glad you're joking about it.
It's not gonna work.
It's not gonna work. Okay,
No.
how
I can
about
hang out with her and have a peaceful conversation with her. I think she's a nice person and all, but to be a co-host, no thanks.
okay? I'm reaching here. Nadia? How about Nadia? Smart girl.
Okay.
She's got too much of her own thing going on.
Could I
She
just
got her own thing
interrupt?
going on.
Just to say there is a program in the UK, a radio program, which is is hosted by someone called Brian Cox, who's a physicist.
Oh, yes, he's one of my favorite people
Okay,
on the
cool.
planet.
Well, he does a radio program which has it's him and a comedian, and the comedian is a science enthusiast. But the show is very well balanced because they talk about scientific things to guest people they have on.
Oh,
And
what's the
of
show?
course, they like have other scientists on, and then they use the comedian just to inject a bit of humor every now and again into the science talk.
Yeah.
I've
Well,
been
Neil
really-
deGrasse Tyson has the Star Talk Radio here.
Jean-Luc Picard was a guest. It was very funny as they were talking about a lot of the science in Star Trek.
Oh, I just thought of a great idea, Patrick. You versus a creationist go toe-to-toe each week, and we see who wins.
I keep telling you, that's not where I'm coming from. I can't.
I mean,
do that. I can't. I'm doing it in your hangout, and I'm being deliberately combative, and I'm basically telling
Well,
Tommy
there's a
to pull his
style of combativeness.
But that's somebody else's hangout. I can't do it on my own.
I feel like I do like the idea of like how they explain the science, because I mean it's really hard to be like, look at this new NASA project that's going to like use this instrument to study the age of this planet, and for them to just go, well, I don't believe that, but like, here's the fucking paper. Like it's the fact that they can't be combative if you just talk about facts.
I don't know. You've seen the Hubble Hangout and the Weekly Space Hangout with Fraser Cain and the first one with Tony Darnell. Have you ever seen them?
Me?
Yeah, anybody.
I usually only watch. The only podcasts I have on my iPhone are Star Talk and BBC Global News.
Okay, well, Star Talk is another good one. That's supposed to be a comedy one.
Mm-hmm.
And Simon, yes, Brian Cox is one of my favorite people on the planet. He is the closest thing we have now on this planet to what Carl Sagan kind of sort of used to be.
And
somewhat poetic. Yeah, because he's poetic in the way he speaks, and I mean, not to mention the fact that he's also working on one of the experiments in the CERN laboratories. I think he's working on the Atlas experiment. So yes, he's not only highly intelligent and physicist and particle physicist, but he's also a poetic personality, and he tries to teach the public science the way Carl Sagan used to try.
I just stuck in the side a link for something called the Infinite Monkey Cage, which is what they call their radio program.
Okay.
So check it out.
Do you think they'll be able to get it here? Do you think they'll allow me to see it here? Because the BBC has been...
Check it out, because it might give you some ideas. You never know.
I wish I could have just like gotten my English citizenship when I was 18, just for the benefits of BBC Radio.
No, really.
Like I don't know why BBC is this like patron, but like I don't know why the British government acts as basically like, ooh, sorry, Hulu is free for all British citizens, but you've got to pay for it. Like.
All right. Well, let me ask.
It appears that I can watch it. It started to play right away, so I went ahead and subscribed to the channel on my YouTube, and I put it under watch later, so that I'm definitely going to watch it.
Yeah, it's a really good balance between talking about real scientific things and humour. And
I've seen a lecture he did.
Light-hearted enough to get the amateurs in, but serious enough to give them some real science.
But I watch his more, his lecture, for example, he did at the CERN laboratories.
Yeah. No,
so I watched that stuff too. He's brilliant. I mean, you wouldn't realize how much he can.
Sure. Okay. Well, let me ask Pyong a quick question. Pyong, it's not necessarily. It's the length of the show is really what's going to make it, right? If it's only like a 10-minute show, what do you think? People would watch that?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know, man.
A 10-minute science show that really takes the pseudoscience fools that we have here in our community to task. Really goes after Nephilim Free and Arcane Logos and all them fools.
Well, is Pat up to the task, dude?
Hey, Mark.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if I can supply that content. I'm not very talented in that.
Just get like 2 co-hosts every week.
You have the passion, Pat.
Bunto, it sounds like you're trying to push Patrick towards the drama kind of thing, and he just wants to do, let Patrick do Patrick,
Yes. I'm
going
to keep saying over and over again. I keep saying, just take a peek at one of the either the Weekly Space Hangout with Fraser Cain or the Tony Darnell's Hubble Hangout.
But I had to taste.
Just take a look at either one of them or both, and you'll see.
But I love
the idea
in the Tommy Hall. I mean, I loved watching that.
Yeah, but I can't do my own hangout like that. I can do it in yours because you brought the people in, and I can be a.
Well, we can make
to be a jerk,
Tommy Hall, can't we? The cloning rage that's been taking over G+.
Stop making
this.
I
think you should have a short 10-minute show that takes the buffoonery that we hear every day about the supernatural and the 6,000-year-old Earth to task. I believe people would watch that every week.
I wish I had a video camera that actually took good videos, and I could make videos and do the Amazing Atheist kind of thing, where he shouts at people saying and calling them idiots.
Really? Go ahead, Saint.
I volunteer for Tommy Hall's role. Thank you.
Tommy, rage quit.
I mean, I do gotta say, like, if there's anything that takes creationists to town more than anything else, it's not like, tonight, SummerSlam, creationism versus science. It's every time a scientist just talks about a theory and their paper and their evidence, and then doesn't give a shit about anything the creationists think. Not even entertaining it. Just not even, like, what? There are people who think that the world's 6,000 years old? Oh, well, okay. I don't care. I think that is the best way, the best affront to like the people like Nephilim Free and Tommy Hall.
That's what I'm saying.
Actual scientists don't give a shit.
Right. Well, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying I don't give a shit. I do give a lot of shit, but I am not going to even justify or dignify their stupidity with a so-called debate. I'm just going to show people, in a casual way, the science and try to get enthusiastic about it and how cool it is and all this other stuff, and just let them, tick, 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 tick. Okay.
Hey, you know what else you could do, Patrick? You could try to explain to a lot of folks not only the scientific method, because a lot of people have this anthropomorphized idea of science. They say you have faith in science, and science is a faith-based position,
right,
without actually recognizing that it's a dynamic structure of individuals who, they come up with theories, they test those theories, other people attempt to knock them down. There's a huge motivation, as a matter of fact, to destroy in science.
I know.
Not just sit around all yes-manning each other.
Right.
So maybe you could explain some of that kind of stuff.
All right. I don't know how else to say it. I keep saying the same thing. So first of all, let's stop making this the let's get Pat to do this hangout.
Okay, yeah, fuck that. Anyway, hey, you know what I want to talk about? Yeah. Okay, fuck Patrick Science Show. So, you know what? Listen, I haven't been on the whatever Google Plus for a while. I haven't been talking, but I wanted to talk to Kazoom about the anti-gay Indiana law.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys been talking about that at all?
No, let's bring it up. What happened then?
So we're the home of the Ku Klux Klan, so we got to represent, here in Indiana.
You in Arkansas.
And we hate gays. So I'm just putting that out there.
Well, Sid had his reasons speak. You would have loved talking to him because they brought up Indiana.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I mean, we're trying to keep it science here because it's so damn interesting.
Pat told me to fuck off. I tried to give him I said,
how many times do you have to tell you, Pong? I mean, I said, say it.
Pat, can I be friends with you? You said, fuck right off, you cunt.
When did I say that? When did I say that to you?
I'm in love with you. Come on.
Okay, Patrick.
I told Bunto to fuck off.
Okay, listen, Patrick, we don't give a shit, but we want to know when that show is going to be again.
I don't know. I keep saying you're.
Well, you can't be like so lukewarm because we were hungry for science here in the Great Debate Community.
I know you're doing a nice thing, okay? But you don't know. You have to understand that I don't want to say this is live on air, so I can't.
Well,
say much,
we're looking.
What happened to me affected me.
Tell
more
him,
than
Pat. You'll keep him updated.
I'll keep you updated. It's probably not going to be this Sunday.
You gotta be a politician here,
Maybe I'll create a non-live hangout this Sunday, or maybe I'll just create one just to fuck around. But I haven't figured out the formula yet.
Go ahead, Nadia.
I know, really.
Excuse me, Monkey Pat. Let's move on.
Okay, but I promise you this, Patrick. I'm going to be watching that show. I definitely will set everything aside to watch that show.
Yeah, but when you try, like in this hangout, if you're trying to force me to do it again, I can't work like that. I can't,
Gunpoint.
Yeah, I can't do that. That's a good.
Well, the
scenario.
thing
I
is,
can't
Patrick,
do
we
it at
don't want
gunpoint.
somebody to steal the idea. We don't want Brojo to show up on Science Sundays. It's like, hey, I thought this was Patrick's.
Yeah,
No,
well,
I mean just do a couple off air first and just
yeah.
broad,
Well,
use
when
them
I
for
figure
playback
out how to
later.
formulate it, and when I actually am able to talk to the people that I was supposed to talk to before, and try to get them to on board with this idea.
Sure.
But it's going to take a lot longer than the week or so that I thought it was going to take.
Yeah.
There is no
Well,
failing.
what I'm trying to
Thanks,
say,
Tommy.
what I'm trying to say really is do some off air to practice the format, even if you don't get the people in that you specifically want.
Right.
Just getting a
that's
few
one of the
people
things
in
I was
to
already thinking
practice.
about.
Just to practice hosting it and trying to guide the topic through the program like Bunto does.
Well, yeah, that's why I was here. That's why I took on Bunto.
Hey, there's Kazum.
I know.
Yeah.
Hi, Kazum.
Look, not everyone's naughty as Patrick, so don't feel like you have to get to that.
No. Again, over and over again, I keep trying to explain to you the format was supposed to be like those two. That is my format, and anybody keeps trying to change me from that format, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Change your format.
Your audience is
Change
your format.
There is no failing. If you make a show, it is a success by default. Everyone.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, the last one, obviously, if you go watch it, because it's available on my YouTube. If you go watch it, you'll see that it was kind of a lot of dead air, and
That's
a lot of no
okay.
shows.
Warts and all, it's a success.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it got a few views. Actually, let me go see how many views it really got.
Can I ask a science question?
Sure.
No, fuck you. Yeah. You know, a lot of them science around here.
I think you'll like it.
You one of those fucking eggheads, those academics with them sciences?
Fuck it. Okay.
For $50,
Here's the
hell
question.
yeah.
Here's the question, right? In the beginning, bang or no bang?
Right.
Burn in hell.
Bang or no bang.
You're asking me?
Indeed.
I'm gonna say it wasn't actually a bang.
Enemy?
You're talking to me? It wasn't actually a bang. That was a bad nomenclature.
Okay.
That's a good answer.
It's more like a poof.
No, it
wasn't like a burn. It was like
Greg, George, something or other. Lemaitre, thank you. Who accidentally coined that phrase?
Indeed.
Didn't he go
I think it
Christian?
was him. Because he said something to the effect of, you're trying to tell us it was a big bang, or something like. Somebody said those words and it stuck, but actually it was a sudden expansion. And when you think of a sudden expansion, you're thinking of an explosion. When you think of an explosion, you think of Big Bang.
Did you just fart? No, it was a sudden expansion.
Yeah, it's a sudden expansion.
Like God farting.
I didn't fart. I just suddenly expanded.
Why don't you have this thing where you say science questions only?
Well, I mean, I was talked into making it public, and lo and behold, guess who showed up? Jesus Christ.
He wanted to know. He was curious.
Yeah, and he immediately started preaching and started the nonsense. I threw him out. He came back in under his other name, and I just simply went to the control panel and just said, okay, sure, you can stay in here, but you're not going to be able to talk.
You can't.
At least you won't see him again. Well, he will a couple of days. He'll be back, but other than
right.
Yeah, I heard he has 2 other sock accounts.
Give him a couple of days.
Yeah,
you better have that show on Saturday.
Sock accounts.
What's Jesus' other name?
Holy Ghost and God.
Emmanuel.
All 3 of them.
Jesus,
It's a trinity of sock accounts.
Yeah, sure.
No, they're both Jesus, but it was Jesus Christ, plain and simple, and then there was Jesus Christ and whatever.
You got a good bridge between now and Sunday morning. You might as well have your hang up.
One was the cross symbol, and one was something else, and that's basically. But he just come on and started talking. Oh, you got to denounce your science, and you got to find Jesus, and all this other fucking cockamamie.
Did he say it like that?
No,
Did he say
typed it in the side.
Universal sins to Jesus.
Yeah, it was like
I
that.
said that to the
inside chat.
child once. I had someone at the door. Have you found Jesus? I said, no. I looked behind the sofa and he wasn't there.
Jesus!
Yeah. Let me look under here. Wait. Let me look under here. Wait. No, he's not there.
Oh, there he is, hiding in that cupboard. Come on, Jesus, out you come.
Right. If you made a hangout that refuted the resurrection, I mean, this weekend, I'm sure it'd get some views.
So that'd be a short hangout.
Again. That's your
Didn't happen. Next.
I can't do that. That's your job.
Kill something and then watch it real carefully, guys. No.
Resurrection. Yeah, all right. Zombie Jesus.
Sure. People don't come back from the dead. Don't be a twat. That's the next time.
Really, you can get the car battery. All right. Well, this has been a great hangout, guys. I'd like to thank all our participants, and especially Patrick Festa for the wonderful interview. I wish you all a great weekend, and take care.
Oh, look, there's Jesus!